Zhuo Fan's black thunderflame just turned on him, eating through his body while Kaior watches helplessly. Heaven's sealing Xiao calls it savage power beyond any control, and that's only the first crisis in a day full of betrayals and collapsing alliances. Like and subscribe before the next seal cracks. In a world of snow and ice, Zhuo Fan howled with black flames writhing all over him. Kaior panicked, turning to Xiao. Uncle W, what's happening? The divine eye of the void he inherited is too weak, while the black thunderflame is savage power beyond any level, now out of his control. Going to extremes, it's very easy for the black flame to run amok, eating him instead. Heaven's sealing Xiao was grave. He has been using the eye skill through the fight, and the divine eye of the void reached its limit for controlling the thunderflame's nature, thus lashing out. But where did he get the thunderflame from? Why is it so violent? Why doesn't my seal work on it? Kaior grew anxious. Uncle Xiao, Dad's apocalyptic thunderflame is made of 4 sacred beasts' powers of terrible strength. How can it be controlled? The power of 4 sacred beasts. How? Heaven's sealing Xiao started and paused. Did 9 Serenity's research succeed? Kid, whose successor are you? My master is 9 Serenity's sovereign. Og, I see, then the old guy did it. Heaven's sealing Xiao nodded and sighed. That's why the thunderflame is so wild, made up of 4 sacred beasts' powers, while above our level so my sealing doesn't work. Uncle Xiao, help him. There has to be something we can do. Kaior could not take it anymore. Zhuo Fan's wails and seeing him cooked under the flame brought her to tears as she urged Heaven's sealing Xiao. The BS side, the kid gave his all and summoned, taking all my malice for humanity so he could save young Killin. I admire his spirit and I could have helped at the start, but weak as I am from the old dragon's fire, it is impossible to suppress the thunderflame. Water and fire are opposite, and I'm also powerless right now, or else I would have sealed him as he jumped around. What can we do? Nothing. I'm hanging by a thread as is. Heaven's sealing Xiao shook his head. Kaior was crying now, filled with pain and worry for Zhuo Fan. Whoosh, 3 flashes came out of the thick black fog and straight for Heaven's sealing Xiao. The 3 divine swords that slipped out of their owner's grasp sensed Xiao's energy and shot for it to kill this sacred beast. Heaven's sealing Xiao winced, about to submerge under the sea, but Heaven's sealing sword flew around the beast and sent a sword wave, freezing his body in place. The other 2 divine swords stabbed deep into his shoulders, drawing blood. Heaven's sealing Xiao roared in pain. Curses, despicable, striking someone who is down. Have you no shame ganging up on me? Is this how your master taught you? To mock him, the divine swords gathered, then split again, each striking from a different direction and punching holes in Xiao's bulk. Uncle Xiao, what's wrong? 3 swords can't be that tough. Why? Kaior cried out. Heaven's sealing Xiao felt like crying. I know these sacred weapons better than you. They can't do much without absorbing sacred stones, but as I am now, I can't even seal them. They're taking advantage of my state, and with the fire and water in conflict within my body stopping me from sealing them. Not to mention they're sharp as hell. I can't hold on much longer, Og. Xiao howled in pain, with Kaior by herself in worry. What do I do? I'll take on a sacred weapon for you. Don't. They may be weak now, but you're no match still. You'll only die. Xiao shook his large head to stop her. He waved his large palm around and slapped the heaven sealing sword away. The 2 swords, however, used the opening to shoot through his chest, drawing another howl out of him. Even with the flesh wounds the swords were giving him, with enough time death would come in the end. Not to mention his bane was among them, the heaven sealing sword. Xiao grew restless by the second. What rotten luck today has brought. I should have just stayed home instead. Thinking humans were at war, he planned on causing extra damage to them, only to be the one to get damaged and near death. Blast it all to hell, couldn't I have checked the stars before coming here? Whoosh, the divine swords ran circles around him, making Xiao cry out every time. Kaior was unable to sit still from anxiety. Xiao was the only one that could help Zhuo Fan. Without him, Zhuo Fan was doomed. She was powerless to help anyone. Divine Eye of the Void's 7th stage, Void Seal. Beneath the corrosive thunderflame, 7 golden rings shone, followed by a shout like that of a beast from hell. The 3 divine swords jerked, but they reacted too slow to get away, and the spatial ripple caught them. The swords clanged on the ice, their sword spirits gone. Heaven sealing Xiao sighed. Crack, Og, the black thunderflame grew more berserk, eating away Zhuo Fan's entire left eye. Without it to curb it, the thunderflame feasted itself on Zhuo Fan, giving him searing pain. Father, Kaior cried out in tears, with Xiao hesitating. Kid, thank you for that. I'm amazed you'd help me despite the cruel predicament you're in. Ha ha ha, it's nothing. Zhuo Fan strained to swallow the agonizing cries as he smiled. I was not helping you. I never owe anyone anything. You save my son, then consider the debt paid. That won't do, not when saving a fellow sacred beast is a must. Heaven sealing Xiao spoke. Zhuo Fan said, you're saving young Sanzi as a sacred beast, but he's my son. Such a favor I have to pay back. Also, this is also my wish. I knew the Thunderflame would take me one day. It just so happened to be today. My life was doomed from the start, but young Sanzi and Kaior have yet to grow and protect themselves. Few are those worthy of absolute trust in this world as well. Sorry, but now it's my turn to entrust you. These children need someone. Senior Xiao is their elder, worthy of trust. I saved you so that you may become their rock. I hope seniors will look after them. Kaior, I'm going. Use the recoil array to free seniors from their torment. This is your future and your only hope. They'll look after you and be safe. I'll also give you the tools to achieve it. Find Wu Randong in the Serene Shores trading. I had everything laid out. Father, Kaior kneeled at his feet in tears. Zhuo Fan smiled, wishing to hold her one last time, but drew back his hand after seeing the violent black flames. His road was at an end, but unlike his last life, he had a legacy, making it worth it. Zhuo Fan took a deep breath and closed his eyes, focusing on reining in the pain he felt, yet his heart was at peace. This life has been brief but fulfilling. Xiao shouted at last, Kid, it's too soon to give up. I can't stop the black flames, but I can give you the means to do it yourself. Take it. Heaven sealing Xiao gouged out his eye. Blood spurted like a fountain, dyeing the sea red. Xiao offered his palm, and in it rested a blue and dazzling eye. Uncle Xiao, Kaior shuddered, looking stunned at the huge bloody eye. Xiao smirked, gazing upon the eye and the scar it had. That brat, sword sovereign, gave it a scratch, but it still has my sealing power. It should work in sealing the black fire from exploding. Really? Kaior lit up. Xiao nodded, smiling despite the blood seeping from the empty socket. Zhuo Fan grimaced as he strove to speak. Senior Xiao, thank you for your assistance. I am very sorry to have made you to sacrifice Senior's eye. Haha, it's just a useless eyeball, nothing to it, Xiao said. You helped me deal with the sacred weapons. Being incapable of letting go of some eye would only make me look no different from those despicable humans. I would then have no ground and right to hate them. Now get ready to take my seal. I don't like owing anyone just like you. Xiao threw his eye and used his palms to pressure the huge eye and send power into it, soon shining blue. It then shrank down to the size of a human eyeball, drifting toward Zhuo Fan encased in black flames. The violent fire sensed a deep chill coming from it and cooled somewhat. Relaxing from the unspeakable pain, Zhuo Fan sighed, nodding at Xiao. He waited for the blue glow to enter his body and get the flames under control. Whoosh. The eye was about to enter its new place when fire flashed by and sent the eye flying. Xiao cried out, crying out in shock. What was that? Thunderflame void annihilation. Zhuo Fan looked stumped. Why? I didn't even use it, Og. He clutched his head as the black flames came back with a vengeance. Thunderflames cracked the air as it shot all over. Zhuo Fan raised his heavy head, sending lightning like a machine gun. The dangerous thunderflames struck down in endless numbers, leaving everywhere black flames. Kaior jumped away, trying not to get that terrible fire from touching her. Heaven sealing Xiao had trouble with his large bulk, taking on dozens of thunderflames. He once again howled in pain as blood seeped out from the new wounds. Ah, Zhuo Fan gripped his head in agony. His right eye's 7 golden halos flickered, with traces of black thunderflame on their edges and eating their way through the gold. Kaior cried out, dodging while shouting, Uncle Xiao, what do we do? You have to help him. Og. Blast it, his black flames made the divine eye of the void lash out as well. Heaven sealing Xiao howled as he jerked from every hit. Divine eye of the void is Heavenly Sovereign's top skill, focused on the void in particular. In layman terms, it's a vessel sealing large amounts of power for his use, but even he could only ever hold the berserk purple lightning. Now the kid holds the far more ruthless apocalyptic thunderflame. His skill is far below Heavenly Sovereign as well and makes it impossible to contain such insane power. As he can't seal the thunderflame, it runs amok. Before was just a bit of violent outburst, while now it crushed its vessel. Divine Eye of the Void has been infected and got out of control as well. The kid is in dire straits now. Once Divine Eye of the Void is ruined, he loses any means of holding the power and it would burn him to ashes. Kaior cried out, what do we do? What of your eye? Can it help Dad? Not anymore. Xiao shook his head with a deep frown. He had the Divine Eye of the Void to help settle the savage flames with my eye. Now the Divine Eye of the Void is out of control and has no vessel. Nothing can contain this power, not even me. Can't your eye act as vessel? Are you kidding? I am heaven sealing Xiao with the innate power of sealing. My eye has the same power, it's already full of it to accept anything else. Xiao rolled his eyes, and what spatial power is stronger anyway than Heavenly Sovereign's Divine Eye of the Void? His ocular skill rises in power with the user. It's not like a sacred beast's innate ability, not to mention the Thunderflame is above our powers. We have no hope of containing it. It can only be the Divine Eye of the Void. My eye has the power to settle it so he could get it under control. There's nothing we can do to save father? It's unclear. Xiao shook his head. He just lost control of divine eye of the void for now and is yet to be ruined as well. We just have to purge the thunder flame from his body and I'll seal his eyes. With nothing to generate the flames, it will settle. The problem is how to do it. As he is now, he's a chariot run amok. We have to seal the eye generating the thunder flame, then the divine eye of the void to mend it. Whoosh, black thunder flame shot by his face in streaks and exploded high in HTE sky, punching a huge hole. In it was a bizarre view, a fantastical paradise of rivers, mountains, and nature. SSSC Ao gasped, dumbstruck. Kaior shouted, This is father's power. His thunderflame void annihilation is amazing, but not like this. He wouldn't have needed three-headed crow otherwise to intimidate the Sword King's an invincible sword. This isn't his, it's the thunderflame exerting far more than he can handle. Blanking a few seconds, Xiao turned to Zhuo Fan and shook his head. The thunderflame is out of his complete control, and it only grows stronger until it consumes him. If we want to save him, we need to seal it fast. Kaior panicked, crying from feebleness. The thunderflame was beyond deadly, and now that the divine eye of the void went crazy too, everything was truly apocalyptic. Who could stop something like this? Father is the source, so how in heaven's name do we remove all thunderflames from him? Kaior had tears streaming down her cheeks as she watched Zhu howling in the flames. Xiao dodged the painful strikes while looking at the eye in his hand with a sigh. It's too late now. Whoosh, a flash of white streaked past them, ignoring the savage flames and hugging Zhuo Fan's contorted figure from pain. Soft lips then took his. A twister enveloped the two, with the woman in white unleashing a pure glow that soon covered the two of them. They had formed around them an exquisite array that shook the world, with the spiritual energy from everywhere surging over. Zhuo Fan's black thunderflames surged like a tide at the woman. Mother, Kaior muttered. Heaven sealing Xiao started, looking at the spiritual energy flow around them and lit up. There's always a way. The brat must have saved the world in his last life to have such godlike luck. Heaven sealing Xiao, we can seal it. Xiao gripped the eye and his lone eye shone with determination. In a black space, the black flames spread to every corner, burning the 500-meter-long prismatic dragon. It howled from pain, its pristine scales and sharp claws eaten away. In moments, the dragon's size was reduced to a third. The dragon squinted and sighed. He gave up hope. With the death of my soul, I'll be erased from this world. The dragon closed its eyes at peace. He had given up on everything, but then Xiao gave his eye to save him, sparking hope. Now not even Xiao could do anything to get him out of this disaster. All these changes led to an uneasy heart from peace. He was better off not even trying. Alive or dead, Zhuo Fan, haven't you made peace with it? The dragon smiled, free of pain and ignoring the burning flames. A wind blew out of nowhere, brushing the flames and the dragon. The huge dragon froze. Where's the pain? He opened his eyes to gaze in shock. Where's the thunderflame? The cooling breeze passed once more through the space. Pure light followed, shining down like fireflies, bringing a touch of color to this dark place and hope into the huge dragon's eyes. Why is this light so familiar? The dragon stared, feeling soothed under the glow as the light slowly seeped into his body and healed his battered soul. The huge dragon stood proud and majestic once more. What's going on? I was about to die, so why am I alive? Where did the light come from? Did Senior Xiao manage to save me? Can I go back to King Cheng and fight the invincible sword? The dragon roared in laughter, focusing his senses on his real body. SSS, the thunderflame was still around, but Zhuo Fan's pain subsided, opening his eyes. What he saw left him in utter shock. King Cheng. King Cheng was hugging and kissing him, though her eyes were still lost. She had done this out of nothing but instinct. King Cheng, hurry and let go. Zhuo Fan's eyes shook, noticing the ravaging thunderflame around him and King Cheng. He shouted with panic. He wanted to get his lover away and not drag her down, only to find out he had no strength to even twitch a finger, leaving him confused. Xiao smiled. Awake are we? Hee, kid, I don't know what miracles you did in your past life to have someone exchange their life to save yours in such a doomed situation. You truly are fortunate. Exchange with mine, Zhuo Fan reacted at last. The thunderflame now moved from him to King Cheng and burned her instead. Zhuo Fan gasped, finding himself powerless to help. King Cheng, leave. I don't want you to save me, just go. King Cheng didn't hear him, her sightless eyes staring back at him with her body using her yuan qi to take his flames into herself. Zhuo Fan's heart was in constant pain, the right eye and the now empty and black left socket shedding bitter tears of sorrow. King Cheng, leave. I don't need saving. Kid, you just don't know how to count your blessings. Who could save you as you are? Xiao glanced at him. That thunderflame is devastating and needs the right vessel to contain all its power, but this girl has the empty spirit body. Do you know what that means? Since ancient times, hardly anyone understood its real implications. Allow me to enlighten you. Heavenly Sovereign has the empty spirit body. It's why he got to create the divine eye of the void and grasp sovereignty through the spatial path. Now you get it, she has the same body as Heavenly Sovereign. She can take on your divine eye of the void's role into containing the violent thunderflames. Her soul is a domain soul practicing arrays. With the power of one person, an array can be formed. This array is baffling, able to draw upon the cosmic cycle's power, but not to fight. It is to help. Your soul was about to fade, but the girl saved you in time. Even with the flames off you, you'd end up a wreck with that ruined soul of yours. Now though, your very core is intact and safe, able to reach sovereignty without a worry. And all thanks to this lass, ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan shuddered, looking around lost. Thanks to his extensive experience in arrays, he could glean into its functions despite not having a base, cosmic soul-nurturing array. How can someone know it? How is it you know it? Zhuo Fan shed tears as she looked at Chu Qingcheng, his heart in agony. I clearly ruined it. Yes, even as a sacred beast, I can tell this array focuses on soul recovery, a life for a life. Every soul is unique, making using the array lead to soul clashes. That's why only the empty spirit body can use it. See outside, kid, no one would ever turn their soul into panacea for another. Unless she did it for one person, to save him when he needed it most. Kid, you are fortunate to have someone who cares for you so much to give their life for you. The tears flowed out of his control. Zhuo Fan stared into Chu Qingcheng's empty eyes, filled with sorrow and anguish. Her only thoughts were for me, but she still doesn't recognize me. Zhuo Fan shouted, Kaior, get her back. Kaior shook and took a step forward. It's too late now, Xiao spoke. They're both affected by the thunderflame. Taking the girl will only lead to both of them dying. Let this continue and the brat can be saved. It's either both of you die or just one. The choice should be obvious for a smart guy like you. Then I'll die with her. Throw her off yourself then. Don't involve the little Thunder Phoenix. Xiao snapped back. Little Thunder Phoenix sees you as a father and her as mother. She'll be killing the both of you. As a father, you should not let your own child carry such guilt. Senior Xiao, you do it. Don't feel like it. I gouged my eye out for you and everything. Letting you die would mean I maimed myself for nothing. Xiao glared at him and turned to the pitiful Kaior. This is love, something every sovereign experienced. He needs this pain. But father, Qingcheng hesitated, watching Zhuo Fan struggle to get Chu Qingcheng away. Xiao smiled. He's now weak due to the thunderflame exhausting his yuan qi. As drained as he is, he can do nothing but go with our wishes. Xiao glanced at the two. The black flames were mostly on Chu Qingcheng now, leaving only a little left within Zhuo Fan's body. Chu Qingcheng could take in no more. And the more there was of the thunderflame, the faster she burned. At this rate, the flames would consume her before she finished. Xiao mulled over the situation, his eyes drifting to the three divine swords. The lass alone can't take all the flames. We need to amplify the array. Xiao flicked, and the three divine swords floated over as he mumbled. The array uses the heaven cycle's power and needs the 5 elements at its core to showcase its might. But we don't have them. I am only able to replace earth, fire, water, and wind. Heaven sealing Xiao held out a scarlet sword and stuck it at a spot around Chu Qingcheng. Soaring sword representing the boundless earth. Ding. Soaring sword was on Chu Qingcheng's left, shining scarlet. Heaven sealing sword representing the surging water. Ding. Heaven sealing sword stuck 3 meters from Chu Qingcheng. Decimating sword representing the scorching fire. Ding. Decimating sword stabbed where Xiao gestured. The problem was what came next. Xiao frowned but heard a whistle as a black sword floated before him, its blade quivering. Sealing Xiao just stared at it for a while, flinching awake. What's with that look? I didn't even recognize you. Then his eyes lit up. The sword spirit changed, right? Ding. Vaulting sword hummed in agreement. Why else wouldn't you gang up on me with the others? It all makes sense. You changed your master, ha ha ha. Xiao laughed, then grew grave. The kid sure is something to change even a sacred sword's spirit for his own use. As a heavenly sovereign inheritor, it's only natural, though. That means you want to save your master as well. Go, vaulting sword, representing the billowing wind. Heaven sealing Xiao pointed and the vaulting sword struck the exact spot, 3 meters from Chu Qingcheng. With the 4 divine swords included, the array surged and the earth shook. The black thunderflame on Chu Qingcheng spread among the divine swords, tainting them black with lightning. Chu Qingcheng shook as well, taking in more of Zhuo Fan's black flames into herself through the array. Her power increased and took it all in with greater speed, leaving the excess her body could not contain to the 4 divine swords. For the next half hour, Zhuo Fan watched as the thunderflame left from him to Chu Qingcheng with tears in his eyes and pain in his heart. Chu Qingcheng was committed, despite the fire eroding her into nothingness. 2 hours later, the last trace of thunderflame left Zhuo Fan. Xiao went fast into action before any more were generated in his body. He shot the blue eye into Zhuo Fan's face, burrowing into the left socket and releasing icy energy. Divine Eye of the Void was still out of control and felt hostility towards this intruder, shining in 7 golden halos, unleashing a terrible power. Luck had it, the Divine Eye of the Void was far from trained to perfection, just at the 7th stage. While Xiao's eye belonged to a sacred beast, albeit damaged, it still proved enough. Using it while the apocalyptic thunderflame had still been around though, and the Divine Eye of the Void would have had the upper hand. With the main problem gone, the Divine Eye of the Void alone posed no danger. Even Heavenly Sovereign showed its strongest power when both eyes worked together. One eye was easy to seal. Before Divine Eye of the Void got any more ideas, Heaven Sealing Xiao held out his palm and unleashed a cold twister upon Zhuo Fan. The Heaven Sealing Eye joined in to cover both eyes. Zhuo Fan's eyes had a layer of ice over them, with a cryptic seal forming on his forehead. With it, Zhuo Fan's vision went black, losing sight of everything, including that of his wife burning away from the black fire. Heaven Sealing Xiao eased a long breath, nodding. Kid, the apocalyptic thunderflame eye ran amok, damaging Divine Eye of the Void as well. You will have a hard time controlling the 2 skills for the next while. I have used a Heaven Seal on your eyes to save them. When the Divine Eye of the Void recovers, you will grasp the seal on apocalyptic thunderflame eye and can open it. Abusing the thunderflame will only get you killed. It's for your own good, so you better take care. King Cheng. Zhuo Fan only focused on his grip on Chu King Cheng's hand, his ears flooded with the hissing of the black flames. He didn't need eyes to know the sorrow eating him up inside as he bit his lip. King Cheng, answer me, even if it's with few words. Why do you want to save me? Chu King Cheng stared back, devoid of any emotion even as the black thunderflame ate her flesh. Then she closed her eyes as her life got drained away. Zhuo Fan howled, his emotions all over the place. He couldn't even cry from the seal. See, outside, there's no fault in a man's tears. Crying helps in times of great sorrow, though it doesn't look like you can, nothing coming out from the seal. This girl can't be saved either, may she rest in peace. Xiao's eyes held nothing but respect for her. Humans are the most fascinating creatures, capable of so much evil, but there are also those worthy of respect. Zhuo Fan cried himself hoarse, shouting at the sky with a red face, his heart unable to bear this crushing sorrow. Kaior watched her father's weak struggle and mother's demise in tears. She forced the sobs away though, not wishing to cause more pain to her father. Xiao sighed. The young Thunder Phoenix is more human by the second, but I don't hate it, ha ha ha. Sorrow took Xiao as well as he watched Chu King Cheng almost gone under the Thunderflame's attack. The body is almost finished and now comes the soul. Once it is gone, she may rest. You have given me one last frail hope in humanity. King Cheng, hum with Zhuo Fan's last cry of immense grief. One tear shining in 7 colors came from beyond the icy seal and fell down his face. Heaven Sealing Xiao gasped, how? Not even the black flames can escape my seal, so how can a tear? The tear was just that grand, defying his common sense as it swaggered down. It was like smacking him senseless. Is there a leak in my seal, or what? Even so, there's no way a mere tear can slip out. Zhuo Fan was in too much pain to register his cry of shock, using his all just to shout his pain. His mind blacked out and he fell limp. But the prismatic tear fell from his face and onto the still burning Chu King Cheng. A multicolored light exploded, erasing the black flames. A mote of white floated out of the body under the cover of the prismatic light coming before Xiao. The undying sovereign path, Heaven Sealing Xiao gasped, looking at Zhuo Fan in stupefaction. How can it be? How can the kid have a sovereign path's protection? Only the 10 sovereigns can. Xiao's eyes grew grave. Just who on earth is he? Kaior started, pointing at the prismatic glow. Uncle Xiao, what's that? Any that delved deep into Tao becomes a forefather of that path, a sovereign. As he forms his sovereign path, he grasped from the heavens. He would be as undying as the world itself. Graver than ever, Xiao glanced at the prismatic light. This glow can only come from those understanding the 10 paths to heaven, something only a sovereign can wield, the sovereign path. It is the core of their beliefs. They would never fall so long as it stays strong. The girl was on the brink of having her soul erased, but the sovereign path saved her last trace. Kaior was overjoyed. Does that mean Mother is saved? Of course, and not just saved, but protected under the sovereign path. There's only a handful of beings that can touch her in the world. Xiao's eyes shook as he watched Zhuo Fan unconscious from the heartache, his eye gleaming. Young Thunder Phoenix, just who is your godfather? Why does he know one of the 10 paths to heaven? Kaior started, then shook her head. Looking between the two, Xiao turned to the huge hole the thunder flame punched in the sky, slowly mending. He snatched the resplendent glow in his hand and threw it into the black hole. The hole then closed right after it swallowed it. Regardless of how this path came to be, with the kid so special, I must get his favor. Xiao's eyes shone and smirked at the closing hole. Girl, see you in the sacred domain, ha ha ha. Rumble, the sky was blue, the sun was bright, but a gloom descended with the thundering noise coming out of nowhere and shaking everything in creation. A prismatic glow flooded everywhere, wreaking havoc as it crossed the heavens. It caused the ground to shake as well, incomprehensible as it sounded, surging like waves. As for the people riding the waves, they were barely standing, with the real experts under a heavy pressure from the light, sealing their power and reduced to weak and frail mortals. Even flying was impossible. Inside a grand and lavish palace among the trees on 7 sacred mountain in the sacred domain, a group of white coats with white long beards stooped in an attempt to keep themselves steady. A broad man with a Van Dyke beard stumbled in through the doors, panic on his face. Lord Saints, just what is going on? What is this? We know not, but the world is in turmoil, taking it out on everything. This isn't normal. We've been living for 1,000,000 years, but never seen anything like it. Something must have happened. Check the archives records for anything. The world is about to go through a change. Yes, the man staggered out at once. The Ruby Cloud sect in the sacred domain held a group of Taoist women scrambling as they strained to stand upright. One among them, aged, stuck to the wall while looking above at the prismatic phenomenon. Her heart was frantic, her face a mask of fear while her eyes filled with confusion. Just what is going on? Has sacred domain ever seen such a shocking change? Whoosh. In moments, the prismatic glow faded in the distance. The woman hesitated, then rushed unsteadily in the distance, leaving her disciples behind still trying to fight the shaking. In one corner of the sacred domain, devoid of the shock and franticness the rest of the domain felt, in a quiet and isolated manner, a creek snaked about a book pavilion where a hand held a chess piece in hand. It shook once before stilling. The sacred domain began rumbling then, with only him and this place unaffected. A sovereign path appeared. Next to him, a man in black and hidden face gasped, "Has he returned so soon?" "We didn't even feel it, Pa." The hand finally placed the piece on the board. "The path is present but not the user. It's quite unexpected for him to separate himself from it. The sovereign path keeps him alive at all times. With it gone, it means his end is nigh." The man in black nodded as he said, "Should I investigate who he gave the path to?" In the dusky room, the man laughed in the end. "Don't bother. The sovereign path is born of the world and only a sovereign can find it. We have no chance, so why try to? Besides, the person protected by the sovereign path has to be important. He will stand out with ease and soon will be found. Also, I'm not content with just his path, but his people." Pa, another chess piece fell, with 2 glimmers shining peculiar in the gloom. The right shone in 12 golden rings, while the right flickering purple. "Your path returned, but when will your man return? Ha ha ha." The dark laughter spread through the world, making even the prismatic glow high above shudder. Rumble, the sacred domain was rumbling still, with every corner jolted around. It took 2 hours for the prismatic glow to fade and the commotion to die down. Though all denizens of sacred domain were now shaken to the core and confused. Only some really old and powerful relics knew the truth, as well as the cause of it all, heaven-sealing Xiao, who was grinning after the mortal domain got shaken up as well. "It's been too long since the 10 sovereigns formed their paths. That's the last time I've seen such a phenomenon. Uncle Xiao, what was that? Why did I feel so weak?" Finally able to stand still without the ground moving beneath her, Kaior asked curiously. Xiao sighed. "The coming of a sovereign path causes stirrings throughout the world. When the 10 sovereigns formed theirs, the same happened. Once the path enters the body, they would be one and the phenomenon ceases." "Enters the body then?" Kaior exclaimed. Xiao nodded with a smile, looking at the unconscious Zhuo Fan. "Once the kid wakes up, tell him his destiny with the girl has yet to run its course." Heaven-sealing Xiao frowned. "What's wrong?" Kaior asked. Xiao barked curses. "Why are humans focusing all their power here? They're clearly after me, as I am now." Heaven-sealing Xiao gave his battered body a once-over and rolled his eyes in annoyance. "Humph, the enemy comes in waves and I'm in this sorry state. I don't plan on playing anymore. I'm leaving now." Heaven-sealing Xiao slapped the ice and launched a ripple. Rumble, deep sounds echoed out as the ice and the sea was on the move. The black fog withdrew as well, along with his departure. Zhuo Fan and Kaior were on the ice too, thus following him to the North Sea as well. "Hey, what's happening? What are you doing? Little Thunder Phoenix, you can't feel it, but a flood of strong cultivators are just ahead." Xiao's face twitched. "I'm not afraid of a bunch of bugs, not by any means, but I'm wounded and can't handle them. Don't humans like to know when to quit and make a tactical retreat? I don't feel like fighting them, so I'm going." Rumble, Xiao's claws moved and the ice he was on sped up. Kaior went to Zhuo Fan's side and left with him. Bailey Yushin's group outside got their bearings after all the shaking. They looked at the receding black fog and the endless corpses it left behind. The invincible sword and the others flinched, sighing, "The sea demon is still alive after all." Zhuo Fan did not survive. With that large shaking, even outside its domain, we felt utterly weak. That sea demon must have been behind it. Bailey Yuyan's eyes flickered with fear as he sighed. To think the sea demon is so strong. Despite the deep wounds, he still had so much power in him. It turns out the sea demon had the final say, that Zhuo Fan is dead. Bailey Yushin felt regret. The rival he approved of was so short-lived it left him empty. Bali Yuyu's heart was in pain, clenching her fists from sorrow. That rascal died just like that. Whoosh, as all were taken in by different emotions at the demise of Zhuo Fan, they heard something coming from up above. Cultivators in the millions blotted the sky as they charged in to draw blood. Some were wiping their tears and howling in sorrow of not living past today. They all were charging to their deaths and all knew it. What chance were there really to take down sword kings and the invincible sword? Thus, the millions of people were crestfallen, having handed their wills to their lord, now charging in with the rest. Zhuo Fan's order to get 2 lands worth of soldiers here to kill invincible sword was now in motion. Bailey Yushin's team was clueless of this. They watched the flood of bloodthirst coming from these people while none thought for a second it was all for them. In fact, they took them as their own reinforcements. Bailey Yuyan laughed. Patriarch, Prime Minister Bailey's army came through for us, and now that they're here, the northern lands are ours. This way we got something for our efforts. Bailey Yushin looked at the approaching mob and then jerked, hold on. Why don't they look anything like the people from the central area? Why do I feel their bloodthirst is directed at us? Shuddering, the Sword Kings paused and then looked peculiar at the bloodshot gazes of the mob. Yeah, why would they be coming at us? Sword, screw you, fight me if you have the guts. Invincible sword, son of rat bastard, I will haunt you from beyond if I die today. Invincible sword, it's either you or me. I've come to take your skull as my personal chamber pot. Knowing they were doomed to die, what could running their mouths do? Kill them again? Weren't you so tough, oh invincible sword? The best in the world. None would slight you in the least, but since I'm going to die anyway, I can cuss your entire lineage. The black cloud came down like heavy rain, roaring and shouting curses without stopping, like true heroes. The obscene and quite colorful language grated the invincible sword and the Sword King's ears, making these lofty figures stare dumbly. Who are these guys? They have guts to come cursing us. Even the 4 lands leaders show us respect. These bugs must have a death wish coming around and running their mouths without rhyme or reason. While not suicidal, but dead men walking all the same. No amount of threats would work on people that knew death was a certainty. Bam. Bailey Yuyan bowed to Bailey Yushin. Patriarch, allow me to set them straight and make them rue this day. No, Bailey Yushin's gaze was cold, shaking his head. They're cursing me, which means only I have the right to take their lives. Humph, nothing but a bunch of ignorant fools to dare mock even me. I'll have them face the consequences of their actions. The sundering sword in his hand flickered with lightning, and the heavens took a purple hue as lightning flashed above. He raised his sword at the stampede and made a casual swipe, shouting, Humph, you think yourselves the likes of Sea Demon or that Zhuo. You just don't know your own worth. Rumble, a purple sword wave flared as it traveled straight through the army. The flooded sky of lightning struck down along the path of the wave, unleashing a veritable thunderstorm. What followed were the obvious wails and howls of demise as the army was reduced to ashes in the wind. Left behind the attack was a scorched earth, now black from the ashes. One strike was all it took to cull tens of thousands of lives. The best in the lands might look weak before heaven's sealing Xiao, but he was still a god in the mortal domain. Patriarch's might is supreme, the best in the world, ha ha ha. Bailey Yuyan cupped his hands and gave a round of praise. His flattery might have worked before, when the invincible sword truly thought himself standing at the top. Now it fell flat, if not ironic. Witnessing Zhuo Fan and Xiao fighting, Bailey Yuyan's succup was nothing but a shame to the invincible sword. Is that sarcasm? Pa, Bailey Yuyan found himself flying, slamming hard into the ground 100 meters away from the casual slap, coughing blood and gore. Getting back up on shaky legs, he bore a look of utter confusion to his lord and patriarch. Bailey Yushin had a coughing fit, spilling burning and frozen blood into his hand and showing it in anger. Is this the supreme might the best in the world has? Were you blind to not see the sea demon's power? How am I the best? Patriarch, the sea demon is a monster, while among humans you, bull, the best in the world are split between humans and monsters. Then why could Zhuo Fan hurt the demon while I couldn't? Invincible sword flicked his hand, boring his glare into the man. I need able bodies, not some disgusting bootlicker, got that? Yes, Patriarch, they all bowed at once. Bailey Yuyan lowered his head, his complaints never voiced. Invincible sword coughed again, being severely injured in the ice mountain from Xiao's ice and Zhuo Fan's dragon breath pill. He was at less than half power. Every attack he made would only worsen his situation. It mattered little though, since bugs were not worthy of his full power. How much harm could flexing his power cause anyway? He was about to find out how wrong he was. That group was a mere appetizer for what was to come. While he could cull a wave, how long could he keep up? Whoosh, the skies once again littered with a cacophony of vulgar calls. Invincible sword, fight us, coward. We're waiting for you, so come on. Invincible sword, you have some cheek to be so arrogant, calling yourself above everyone. Invincible sword, you're not invincible, just delusional, feel like living. Then get on your knees and walk between my legs, ha ha ha. Invincible sword's face twitched, his stooping figure shaking from rage. He turned stiffly at the sudden catcalls to find another bunch of bugs looking for a quick death. The insults became harder and harder to bear. Another bunch of maggots came to die, cough. Invincible sword tightened his jaw and the sundering sword hummed with desire to strike. He caved before he ever got to swing it and spurted blood. The Sword Kings rushed to help. Patriarch. Bailey Yuan volunteered on the spot. Patriarch, these ants don't deserve Sir's attention. Leave them to me, I will handle them. Beat it, they came for me. Not facing them will only give credence to their insults. He shoved Bailey Yuan away and swung sundering sword with bloodshot eyes, sending another sword wave with resounding booms that resulted in thousands upon thousands more deaths. While his body coughed blood again, damaged further from his stubborn stance, the others were watching in worry and supported him. Patriarch, next team attack. Outside the Sea-Bright sect, Ling Wucheng noticed the purple lightning flaring in the distance and ordered the tens of thousands of men. Bear in mind that you may never return, but you have to taunt that old monster as much as you can. He is a man of excessive pride that disdains your very existence. Taunt him and he will strike with all he has. It is a path of no return, I know, but you are fighting for the chance of the next teams to live. The more that monster wastes energy on you, the higher the next team's odds at taking him down. Within you lies the power to have your fellow brothers survive this. Know your sacrifice is not in vain. The men howled in high spirits as they marched to their doom. One elder sighed from the side. Exalted double dragons have said many times the Luo clan is filled with talents. Sir Leng is wise to have the clans and sects of two lands arranged so their friends and family lay in the back for the greatest chance at surviving. It'll be hard not to do their best, ha ha ha. Merely a trick is all. Ling Wucheng smiled. As we're using the human waves tactic against the invincible sword, cooperation and formation among strangers hold little value. This arrangement is the most effective. Sir Leng is most right. Then I shall go call for the next team. Take care, Executive Lu. Ling Wucheng gave a slight bow, then his kind smile fell the moment that back left his eyes. He smirked, humph, they have not an ounce of remorse in using others' lives to strengthen their position. These four lands leaders truly are. Sir Leng disdains such base people. A cheerful voice reached him. Ling Wucheng shook and turned to see a familiar figure bowing. If it isn't Miss Schuinger, with your deep grief for loss of life, why are you on this cruel and bitter battlefield? Not all wars are cruel. Schuinger sighed, I have to thank Sir Leng for this strategy, to lessen the disasters. Brother Zhu ordered for two lands to surround the invincible sword but did not go into details. Sir Leng's effective organization has raised the tactic's chances of success. Telling every team to go slander the invincible sword will cause a man of his temperament to fly into a rage. He will tire more like this and spare us from further casualties before his death. Ling Wucheng nodded, but his smile was bitter. Clan head sent me to organize the attack with this idea in mind, but it may be against Steward Zhu's intention. Why do you say that? Do you believe for certain Steward Zhu had no concrete way of dealing with the invincible sword? Ling Wucheng's eyes shone with conviction. Steward Zhu's plan is to see both sides crippled. Shuddering, Schuinger gave him an incredulous look. That can't be. Brother Zhu is the Grand Marshal of our lands. Why would he? Speaking of his position, isn't it merely interim? Calling it exploit isn't much of a stretch, regardless of how bad it sounds. Ling Wucheng's eyes shone. When the dust settles, fingers will be pointing. The lands are now at war, and the leaders of the four lands have no choice but to show courtesy when inviting Steward Zhu to take charge. Once fighting stops, the Grand Marshal loses its meaning. The four lands would remain, but what about Steward Zhu? He is a far too shrewd a man to not pick up on the obvious danger coming with his new status. Furthermore, Steward Zhu's plan destroys the main headache, collapsing the central area, while also making the four lands break under the severe casualties. When two fight, a third always wins. Steward Zhu took the reins, but who is he working for in the end? This is the main issue. Ling Wucheng smoothed his goatee, showing a crafty smile as he sighed. I wonder, will Steward Zhu take it out on me for reducing his plan of grinding the two sides' assets? I guess I'll just dump it all on Clan Head, who just had to be so righteous and sorry for humanity. Wouldn't you say? Ha ha ha. Watching him go, Schuinger frowned deep in thought. This means the man hasn't changed at all after all these years. It's like he hasn't once thought about humanity's well-being. Boom, the invincible sword faced the endless waves of soldiers with wave after wave, sending them all to hell. These men were suicidal lunatics, coming one after the other, again and again. Invincible swords weakened, but not enough for the attack to be blocked. The four sword kings looked lost. Anyone knew that making an example out of a few of them ought to scare these cowardly rabble away, but they had all gone insane, coming with the sole purpose of dying. They were lining up for execution. What is wrong with the people of northern lands? Have they lost their marbles? Their marbles were very much accounted for. It was Zhuo Fan's attrition tactic that convinced them all that the only way to win the war was over a mountain of corpses. They were simply climbing on the stairs to victory. Sometimes it wasn't death that scared people, but dying without meaning or purpose. The Sword Kings were just too strong, making all of their efforts feel empty when they couldn't even hurt their enemies. Here was where Zhuo Fan came with a solution. Through the power of 100 million people, they would wear them out. By changing perspective, the crowd's morale shifted. Their deaths now had worth, leading to the ultimate death of the invincible sword and the Sword Kings. Adding to it Ling Wucheng's tactic of splitting kin and friends, their value only soared in their hearts. The more you drain these monsters, the safer your kin will be. And who's to say they won't earn glory? With victory in their hearts and souls, they all stepped forth to their doom without any fear. Boom, with another wave down, the invincible sword paled from exhaustion, gasping hard and coughing blood twice more. His wounds only deepened. Patriarch, please rest and leave it all to me. Bali Yuyu chose the perfect moment to block him. Weak as he became, he no longer insisted and fell back, going to rest with the other three Sword Kings. As for the next wave of soon-to-be-dead people, Bali Yuyu would handle them. The soldiers still cursed and taunted, but the old man had no more energy for them, no longer stubborn, and turned a deaf ear to heal. Ling Wucheng saw Bailey Yushin withdrawing and a Sword King taking stage. He decided to make slight adjustment to the tactic by sending 5 teams at once instead of just one to drain them harder. And every last one of the attacks came pouring down right for the invincible sword. It was no wonder Bali Yuyu was frantic in keeping Patriarch safe while also exhausting herself. The other Sword Kings had to replace her. Though weren't they wounded themselves? 10 waves were nothing, but having pushed on to 100 and the earlier damage began to show their effects, making their situation that much harder. Luckily Bailey Yule rushed here with the Crown Prince at the best moment to hold the fort, which was not to say that a heavily damaged one, 2 normal and 3 wounded Sword Kings could outlast the constant attacks from the 100 million soldiers 2 lands were throwing at them. No, they certainly had it bad. While the suicidal madmen couldn't touch them, their Yuan Qi took a heavy blow. Only 3 days into the fight, they found themselves dazed and their Yuan Qi reserve next to bone dry. As for the enemy, they still had 2/3 of their force intact. In the dark at the actual numbers, the Sword Kings were in a dangerous spot, only amplified with every passing wave. Their strength wasn't the only one leaving, with their minds taking their toll as well. Bailey Jingwei, didn't you say you're going to break into northern lands with ease, you bastard? Weren't you going to support us? This feels like the whole of northern lands' forces are now focused on us. Where the hell are you? Bali Yuyu couldn't take it anymore and lashed out. The other Sword Kings were aggravated as well, with bloodshot eyes and growling. They believed in Bailey Jingwei's plan, but for some reason, everything took a turn for the worse. What kind of problems could his plan to attack all lands meet? Despite their frustration and confusion, they were very much in the dark about Bailey Jingwei having it far worse than them. Go, 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 charge for crying out loud, breach northern lands at all costs. At the northern lands border, Bailey Jingwei was frantic and anxious as he pointed at the smoking battlefield and howled like he was possessed. His white teeth crunched so hard they might break any second. Zhuo Fan, you rotten piece of, I'm not through with you. I'm going to get you for using this despicable tactic on me. Just how are Patriarch and the others holding up? It's been 6 days under harassment from 100 million people. Then there's the 3 divine swords. Patriarch has to be safe. Bailey Jingwei's eyes were red all over, howling, charge, no matter what, get in there you goddamned rejects. Answering him was a draconic roar. Danking Shen pointed at the sky and hacked down. A resounding boom followed, making the sky echo with the wails and cries of hundreds of Genesis experts as they lost their lives. The enemy lines were shaking to the core as well, under the onslaught. Ding a most sublime zither added some color to the battlefield, but this turned out to be a dirge. The sound split into 7 sword energy attacks, mowing people down and unleashing a shower of limbs, viscera, and blood upon all around. The music turned soothing once more, with the man in white gently touching the strings with a peaceful smile. It's the Zither Sword King. Look out for his 7 notes obscure sword. A venerable from northern lands recognized him and shouted, moments before he popped like an overripe tomato. Shangyuan Feiyan hovered high above, lowering his fingers. You think Zither Sword King is the only one to watch out for? There are 4 Sword Kings on this battlefield. Are you calling the others weaklings? Yeah, Zither Sword King always shows off playing a zither on the field of battle. Wine Sword Immortal whined, approaching Shangyuan Feiyan. Should we try being refined for a change? At this rate, all credit will go to that string plucker. Next thing you know, Prime Minister Bailey is shouting at us for not trying too hard. I'd rather not have him grating on my ears with his yapping ha ha ha. Wine Sword Immortal laughed and spurted wine, then pointed. The wine turned into a golden inferno that took sword shape and fell down like rain to kill 1,000 experts. Shangyun Feiyan's heart sank. Wine Sword Immortal, is this the decimating sword art from southern lands? Fire really is the most effective way of killing. Let's not dwell in the past. Wine Sword Immortal shook his head with a sigh. I've had a drink over with Murong Lai back then, considering him a friend. He was also kind enough to let me observe decimating sword for a year, leading to today's results. But times have changed, I'm afraid, and I don't know if he'll gift me more wine. Humph, once you take southern lands, all the wine will be yours. What taste can stolen wine have over one offered by a dear friend? Wine Sword Immortal looked worried, sadness flashing deep in his gaze. Seeing how 2 Sword Kings were chatting merrily, Bailey Jingwei had to do something about that. His anger burned to new heights as he shrieked, Shangyun Feiyan, Wine Sword Immortal, did I call you here for a drink? Charge, god damn it, the brat is picking our faults again. Wine Sword Immortal shrugged and sighed as he shot for the Northern Lands frontline. Shangyuan Feiyan was right behind him. Huffing and puffing, Bailey Jingwei shook all over. Damn these foreign sword kings, they can't do anything right. What do I do? It's been so many days and patriarch. Prime Minister, sir, report. A messenger bowed before him. Bailey Jingwei snatched the jade slip and read it with heart in his throat. What's so important in these crucial moments? He jolted, and in the next moment his eyes shone. The punk is missing and not leading the alliance? Perfect. Leader Bu Xingyan appeared among some broken ruins. He watched the lightning flaring in the distance and noticed it had ebbed since yesterday, its weariness becoming more pronounced as time passed. His eyes shook and he took a deep breath, turning from the incredible display to looking around. Crack, the splitting of a rock entered his ear and Bu Xingyan's eye lit up. His attention snapped to the source, reaching it in moments. He sent a palm attack, blowing away the rubble and revealing the frail sect leader of Sea Bright Sect, Ling Yunshin. With his ruined clothes, messy hair, pale face, and blood on his mouth, he didn't look as dignified. Sect leader Ling, how are you? Here, take this healing pill. I'll take you somewhere safe to recover. Bu Xingyan helped him, and a blue pill entered his mouth. Bu Xingyan then placed him on his back, moving swiftly through the air. Now they're all accounted for, ha ha ha. Whoosh. Bu Xingyan arrived minutes later 10 miles outside Sea Bright Sect at a tent. The patrols were all Sea Bright Sect disciples that had survived. They moved with purpose at their arrival and helped him take Ling Yunshin into the tent. There were many others inside lying down and wounded, exalted double dragons and the 3 Shangyuan clan venerables among them. At the time the invincible sword's powerful sword struck, they all survived by the grace of the 3 divine swords. Although they were now hanging by a thread, seeing the new addition, they all cheered sect leader Ling. Ling Yunshin was placed on a stretcher like the rest, and as he heard the frail voices, he cracked an eyelid to wheeze out, where am I? What happened? Ha ha ha, sect leader Ling, did the monster's blow hit you in the head? We've all been defeated and damn nearly killed. It's thanks to sect leader Bu that we're still alive, coming to our rescue before breathing our last among rubble. Exalted Hai Ran explained with gratitude for Bu Xingyan, sect leader Bu is our savior. We can't thank him enough. Bu Xingyan gave a modest wave, even blaming himself. You're too kind, sirs. I am ashamed to not have been there alongside you to fight. This little help is nothing. If you had come with us, you'd have been buried under the ruins like us, then no one could have helped some old men. Sect leader Bu, you were right not to join the battle. I ask your forgiveness for the many disagreements we had before. It's fine, exalted Hai Ran, we're all in this together. They were mere trifles, ha ha ha. Bu Xingyan gave a bright laugh. Ling Yunshin knew by now that all the men here got saved by Bu Xingyan. He forced himself to prop his body and thank Bu Xingyan. Whoosh, the tent opened just then and a man in a black robe entered laughing. I am very pleased to know that all of you are still in this world. Sect leader Ling, exalted double dragons, as well as the representatives of the eastern lands and southern lands. I wonder if your precarious condition had made you more tolerant for my advice. Who are you? State your name, Ling Yunshin shouted. The man in black removed his cowl, revealing a savage smile. I guess some of you here have yet to meet me. Then allow me to introduce myself. I am Central Area Sword Star Empire's Prime Minister, Bailey Jingwei. You're Bailey Jingwei? Everyone gasped and stared with big eyes. What are you doing so deep in the northern lands? How did you pass Sea Bright Sect's defenses? Guards, seize him. Someone raised his hand to grab Bailey Yunshin, shouting, ha ha ha, instead of enjoying yourself from your position, you dared venture here. Now we're not only taking your empire's cornerstone, Bailey Yushin, but even the wisest Bailey Jingwei. The destruction of the Sword Star Empire is nigh. A group of Bright sect disciple entered to cut off the intruder's escape. Wait, Bailey Jingwei shouted before Bu Xingyan got to grab him. Bu Xingyan smirked. Prime Minister Bailey, what trick are you playing now? Humph, you may be clever, renowned throughout the lands, but you are a frail scholar. Why so nervous then? With a sneaky smile, Bailey Jingwei shrugged and spoke to the wounded elders. Sect leader Ling, I have come alone and weak before you just so we can talk. You're free to take me prisoner once I'm done, taking down the head. Or are you perhaps afraid of a little old scholar standing in your domain among the greatest experts in the lands? You wouldn't even give me the chance to speak. Bu Xingyan paused and turned to Ling Yunshin for directions. Ling Yunshin coughed for a bit and gave a weak wave, sending the disciples away. Bu Xingyan snapped his head back on Bailey Jingwei, cursing, Your tricks won't work here, humph. Bailey Jingwei nodded with calmness. Prime Minister Bailey, with both sides trapped in a bitter war, what purpose does your visit hold? Ling Yunshin demanded. The others focused on Bailey Jingwei and awaited his reply. What's this sneaky prime minister playing at? Coming in here without so much as a sword king for escort. Does he have a death wish? Bailey Jingwei shook his head, his voce firm. To be honest, I've come to save everyone. Save us? They all looked stumped. Then exalted Hairan mocked him. Prime Minister Bailey, are you all right? We hold all the cards and morale has never been higher. A disciple came in just now saying your patriarch is barely holding on while we still have millions of soldiers ready to fight still and finish him. And you have the nerve to come into our domain and proclaim you're here to save us? What a sick joke. They say Prime Minister Bailey is beyond wise, but to think you came to preach such idiotic nonsense. The rumors must be inflated, ha ha ha. They all laughed at his expense. Bailey Jingwei shook his head, not falling for his jab, waiting for them to laugh before continuing. You're all right and you have victory in your grasp. I am aware and accept my loss. Everyone is very close to ruining my empire with your ingenious plan. But while that is a bitter reality, so too will your demise following our nation's defeat. The smiles froze on their faces and looked grave. Ling Yunshin glared. Bailey Jingwei, what's that supposed to mean? Ha ha ha, haven't you considered what might come next after you employ such a plan? Bailey Jingwei's eyes shone with wisdom. I admit you win this round, but you'll be losing as well. You will crush the undefeated Sword Star Empire, but at a cost of your own demise. Be it Bright Sect or Double Dragon Manor, Shangyuan clan and Murong clan, they all will fall in time, experiencing the same defeat as my nation, erased from this world. What a load of bull. Your Sword Star Empire is the one to fall here. It has nothing to do with us. Why would we be joining you in death? Nothing. Then do you all know how gaining victory against a mighty foe ruins my nation? Absolutely. Ling Yunshin smirked. As long as we take the invincible sword down, your empire loses their foundation. Then I still have at my disposal millions of soldiers and 4 sword kings. While you are drained and weary from the fight with Patriarch, I can still destroy the 4 lands. Really, those kings you're so proud of will turn on you in the end. Ling Yunshin disdained. Without the invincible sword to coerce them, the sword kings won't ever listen to you. They all let out smug smiles, filled with confidence. Bailey Jingwei's eyes shone with mockery as he smiled. What makes you so sure the first thing they'll do when learning of Patriarch's passing, they'll be turning on me? The wounded elders all froze, unable to reply. Frowning, the bedridden old men looked at each other before staring back into Bailey Jingwei's deep eyes. What do you mean? Ha ha ha, nothing, just given the impression we're all part of someone's master plan. When 2 fight, the 3rd wins. None of us are victors. With anger in his eyes, Bailey Jingwei sighed. The wounded looked on with nothing but doubt in their eyes. Bailey Jingwei shook his head and let out a long and heavy breath, then he composed himself as he spoke. I bet that wise ass of yours only told you what you wanted to hear of how this will end. Then allow me to share with you the rest. First of all, this plan is devious beyond measure. It takes a lot of metal to send everything at Patriarch. I never dreamed you'd have it in you. Technically, it's not bravery, just up against the wall, ending up used. I have to give him credit. This move hit me where it hurt the most. I aimed for instant gains when attacking the 4 lands. I went for bolstering our Sword King's numbers, increasing the Empire's power, but they are volatile. Once Patriarch is gone to stop them, the 4 will lash out. They're the biggest threat to topple the Empire. Didn't Sir Zhuo say the same thing? The patients grinned to themselves. That's Sir Zhuo's plan, all right. The only reason the wisest in the world even bothered risking his life to come here for a ceasefire is because Sir Zhuo cut him deep. But that's only half of it. Bailey Jingwei could read them like a book, continuing, next comes death, though unsure if it'll be yours or mine. Did you think that with Patriarch's death, the 4 Sword Kings will turn on us? What a joke, they all come to my central area for fame and fortune. Do you really think they'll just give it all up? The men gasped, why you mean? Humph, I can't say what they'll do for certain, but if it were me seeing both sides at death's door, I'd definitely revolt. I'd gather a personal army and use retribution for Patriarch as an excuse to keep fighting, dyeing the four lands in blood. And only when the four lands have nothing left to fight with will they turn against the central area. Giving a devilish smile, Bailey Jingwei's eyes shone with guile, enticing them with his words. That's why I say the fall of my nation marks the destruction of the four lands. The five lands would then belong to the four sword kings. That's not a pretty picture, is it? The leaders of the four lands in question were sweating buckets. Bailey Jingwei smirked, keeping his voice even yet still piercing, toiling so hard, losing so many men to claim to kill the invincible Patriarch, yet all for another's sake. See, Bright Sect will be finished, Double Dragon Manor as well, Shangyuan clan. Ha ha ha, with Shangyuan Feiyan's hatred for his clan, even if it still exists, what good will come of it? At the very end, the world would belong to the four, and let's not forget Sir Zhuo. It must come at a surprise to know that the central area is facing a rebellion. A hidden power is on a swift rise. I believe that once the major powers of the five lands are out of the picture, a new world order will come. Since Sir Zhuo has the greatest credit in conducting this play, it's only fair to get a slice of the pie, wouldn't you say? Ha ha ha, their wounded faces twitched, looking nervous. If all went like Bailey Jingwei said, what were they fighting and dying for? Was it all a scheme from Sir Zhuo against the central area and the four lands as well? They all grew grave and felt fear as Zhuo Fan's wide smile entered their minds. He's terrifying, they had no way of seeing through this devious plot, and they were perfectly fine doing the work for him. If it really was the case of ending their clans and sects, how would they face their ancestors in the beyond? They all hung their heads, distressed. Damn Zhuo Fan, I just knew that sneaky punk was up to no good. He almost used us. Do you all still remember how he wanted to cause chaos in the central area? It turns out it's all to vie for power. Bu Xingyan roared, cursing, "Sect leader Ling, what do we do now?" Ling Yunshin's brow shook with endless worry. He also happened to turn his eyes on Bailey Jingwei as he thought, Prime Minister Bailey, you're not here just to flex your smarts over us, are you? Get to the point, just what he wanted to hear. Bailey Jingwei showed a genial smile. Sect leader Ling, I've come to settle this matter. Since both of us are doing the work for that shameless punk, I hope that sect leader Ling and every leader shall cease and desist their assault on Patriarch. Stop, you want us to leave a monster like Invincible Sword alone? Ling Yunshin hesitated, and for good reason, his fists clenching in rejection. We finally have him on the ropes for the first time. When will we ever get such a chance again? Ha ha ha, I'd find such a chance equally hard to give up if I were in your shoes, sect leader Ling, but everyone should know that Zhuo Fan's scheme rests solely on Patriarch's fate. To unravel it, you must let go of Patriarch. Sirs are all men of your word. Are you willing to lay waste to your foundation for the sake of another? I have to say, I'm touched. The patients jolted, gnashing their teeth and nodding. Having gotten his point across, Ling Yunshin turned to Bailey Jingwei and spoke heavily. Fine, we agree. But after Invincible Sword leaves, rest assured that our empire is in chaos and suffered heavy losses. We have no time to waste. Bailey Jingwei's eyes shone and nodded. Once Patriarch is with us, the war will cease with neither side a winner. I vow on my Dao heart, on behalf of the Sword Star Empire, that will not step one foot on the four lands for the next century. The elders found it much easier now to agree. They would now have 100 years of peace. Ling Yunshin nodded as well, then called, "Guard, tell." Boom, as silver waves passed, tens of thousands of experts met their end. Bailey Yuyu and Bailey Yulei shook under the exertion, looking wan and frail. They slumped on the ground with no more strength to give. We can't hold on anymore either. Gasping for breath, Bailey Yuyu looked at the others, equally spent, and shook her head. The others felt the bitterness of despair. These days, Patriarch and the Sword Kings took turns in fending off the enemy, but this led to aggravating wounds and spent Yuan Qi. Whoosh, here came another wave, men coming to die for their cause, shouting and cursing. What's this? Why are they all on the ground? Does this mean? Their dead eyes, resigned to their fate, glimmered with hope and jubilation. Be brothers, they're spent. Attack and take their heads. They're exhausted. Does that mean we don't get to die? Not just live, but take Invincible Sword and 5 Sword Kings' lives. We'll live forever in history. Roar. The howls rang through the sky and the suicidal team got pumped, charging the enemy with fervent joy. A world of fame and wealth was waiting for them, stepping on the bodies of the brothers before them and now plucking it like nothing. Grinning to their ears, the men went crazy as they lunged like ravenous wolves at the chance to go down in history. Their true and vile natures were laid bare to the world. Bailey Yunshin's lips shook, looking furious as he held the divine sword in defiance. I, the great invincible sword, am not about to meet my end in a glorious battle against an expert, but at the nibbling of cockroaches. What a disgrace! The Sword Kings were just as unwilling. Dying from Murong Lai or Aoyang Lingshan, and even that freak Zhuo Fan would have been so much better. Now they were shamed having their honor smeared with these bugs. Hold. Sect leader Ling sent orders for everyone to stop attacking Invincible Sword. Any violation means death. A shout echoed into the crazed maniac's ears, making them freeze in stupefaction. What the hell? Rooted to the spot, the men had glazed looks of confusion at the unbelievable things they were hearing. They were so close to breaking this impossibly tough bone, and they just want them to stop. Even Invincible Sword's group was left speechless. What in heaven's name is going on? What are the four lands planning this time? Wuxia man in white landed, the venerable in charge of the wave, and walked towards Invincible Sword with a bow. Sir Bailey and Sword Kings, please follow me. Your people are here to take you. Our people? Flinching, the six looked at each other baffled, but since they were like lambs to the slaughter, what more could they do to them? They ignored the strangeness of the invitation and the possible trap. With Bailey Yushin coughing blood a couple more times and some Sword Kings lending their arm, they all stumbled forward. Why? Just why let them go? A howl of indignation and fury broke the sky, and a figure in gray shot for Bailey Yushin with a savage punch. My brothers died at their hands. We suffered so many losses, got them ready to reap, so why the hell won't you let us take their lives? I'll have my revenge for my brothers. Die, Invincible Sword. Bang. He hardly made any progress towards Invincible Sword as an energy wave flashed past and left him in bloody pieces. The elder in white flicked his yuan chi-charged fingers, smirking in disdain at the rest. Have I not made myself clear? The leaders of the four lands have decreed to let Invincible Sword leave. Any violation means execution. The men shuddered and lowered their heads in anger and hatred. They knew not what got those higher up to lose their heads and come here right when they were about to succeed only to stop them. Had the tens of millions before died for nothing? Ignoring these bugs who were unable to control their fate, Bailey Yushin walked away with the old man. They soon reached a thicket. Ling Yunshin's group was waiting, along with a friendly face, Bailey Jingwei. Jingwei, what's going on here? Can you explain it to me? Bailey Yushin was gravely wounded but still had the demeanor of a king. Bailey Jingwei cupped his hands as he bowed. Patriarch, we made peace. Oh, I see. Bailey Yushin sighed, looking at the hovering image behind him. Is that a teleportation array? It's quite subtle and compact. I wager it can only take a couple people at once. Is it your handiwork? Yes, Patriarch, to be on the safe side, I built it after coming to northern lands. Good, let's go. Bailey Yushin walked straight for the portal, uncaring about the situation. The others followed. Ling Yunshin smiled and stepped forward. Sir, both sides have suffered in this war and are heavily wounded. I hope there won't be any conflicts in the future. Bailey Yushin never once spared him a glance, going through the portal at his own pace. Ling Yunshin's face twitched, put on the spot. Humph, you're not even fit to talk to Patriarch, not when you cower away from the fight, geezer. Bali Yu huffed and followed through. The Sword Kings echoed her disdain, going through the portal, including Crown Prince Bailey Jingshin. Bailey Jingwei smiled, bowing with respect at Ling Yunshin, yet his smile felt flat. Sect leader Ling, this is just how Patriarch and Sword Kings are. I offer my apology on their behalf. It's fine, I just hope Prime Minister. Of course, for the next century we'll be at peace, ha ha ha. Farewell, Bailey Jingwei smirked as he passed through as well. His mask of kindness fell right as he vanished, revealing the naked scorn beneath. With all gone, Ling Yunshin's group remained. He was looking tense and heavy. Feeling his pain, Bu Xingyan laughed, sucking up. Invincible Sword's arrogance is common knowledge. It must be hard for sect leader Ling to suffer such humiliation yet save the Four Lands Foundation. Search everything, Ling Yunshin roared. Why could Bailey Jingwei teleport to the heart of northern lands from the front lines? And what is this secret teleportation array doing here? Why could he enter our Sea Bright sect like there was no one to stop him? Zhuo Fan was right. Northern lands has a traitor and of great status as well. This is the only possible answer for a central area to have such a hidden door. Bu Xingyan nodded. Yes, we must investigate. Sect leader Ling, leave this to me. I will definitely get to the bottom of this. Ling Yunshin nodded and sighed. Just who is this traitor? In Bailey Yushin's camp, Bailey Yushin and his group appeared through the portal, with Bailey Jingwei in the rear. Invincible Sword and the 5 Sword Kings felt ages since they saw the familiar faces and mood. They were finally back in their own domain, to safety. Sword Kings were anxious to go to the security of their hope, especially after suffering through millions of men coming at them relentlessly. Prime Minister Jingwei, thank you. Crown Prince Bailey Jingshin spoke earnestly. We're alive all thanks to your timely intervention. But how did Prime Minister convince them to accept a ceasefire so willingly? It's simple, because they had us by the short hairs. Bailey Jingwei shook his head and revealed a jade slip. The imperial capital reports that the Sword Star Empire now has over 1,000 cities that have fallen. Once news of Patriarch's wounds spread, the 4 Sword Star Empire won't sit still. We are beset by conflict from every side and have lost the strength to fight this war. Of course we'd be happy to go home in peace. How did it come to this? For even the Empire's core, everyone cried out. Bailey Jingwei nodded. Yes, Zhuo Fan has made us suffer the worst. We'll likely need decades to settle. That guy again, how did he manage to get our empire? Bailey Jingshan and the Sword Kings gasped. Bailey Jingwei had a bitter smile. It is all my fault, patriarch. The guy had beaten me completely in strategy. It might come as a shock to know that he was appointed as the commander of the Four Lands, the Grand Marshal. Bailey Jingwei began telling everything that had happened. The audience was just too out of it to react. They knew Zhuo Fan to be some mystery sex disciple, but to think he also held control over the boar, with the 5 lands dancing to his tune. He bested patriarch and outclassed prime minister. Just who was this godlike talent? In short, I only managed to get those geezers to relent because that punk is missing. I fear that not even my presence would have swayed them otherwise, and I'd have only suffered by going there. That guy is the greatest opponent in my entire life. Fear lingering in his eyes, Bailey Yuyan was grave. The others sighed with Bailey Yuyan saying, Prime Minister, you can relax now. He's no longer a threat to you. Wah, Bailey Jingwei began. His corpse got eaten by the sea demon. Who cares how great he was in life, ha ha ha. Bailey Yuyan narrated their side of the events this time. Bailey Jingwei listened with a dumb look. His eyes then landed on Bailey Jingshan's missing hand and cried, curses, is this guy our bane? All of Bailey, from young to old, from refined to martial, got smacked around. But in the end he got done over by some mystery sea demon. How are we then to exact revenge? The one opponent we acknowledge is gone like that. Who are we to fight now? Go take it out on Ling Yunshan and those fools. Are they worth the bother? Bailey Yushan frowned hard, his features twisted in anger, his eyes bloodshot. Blood spurted high and his eyes went black, knocked out. Yet he still had the mind to mutter, Zhuo Fan, your life is mine. Minister's orders, retreat. Shouts louder than the howls of death spread across the battlefield, with both sides fighting a bitter war and the 4 Sword Kings unleashing their killer moves. These men roamed the battlefield and sent the latest orders of Bailey Jingwei. About to unleash another strike, Shangyu and Feiyan jerked to a halt. We're about to win this and now we're pulling back. What's Bailey Jingwei thinking? We must have lost the battle. The soothing melody came to a halt as well as Zither Sword King spoke. Shangyu and Feiyan roared in defiance. Where have we lost exactly? Everything's going our way and are about to march into northern lands. How is this a loss? Bailey Jingwei also promised me help in attacking eastern lands. Now we're pulling back just when the enemy's about to fall. I can't accept it. So, this is the Central Area's war with the 4 lands. Since Prime Minister Bailey ordered a cease and desist, no one will fight on. You're welcome to face the 4 lands by yourself if you want to, ha ha ha. Danking Shen returned as well. Wine Sword Immortal smirked, quite perky as he caught up. Hee hee hee, a cease is great. I won't get to kill anymore and get on those old friends' bad side. Zither Sword King glanced over and left after putting away the zither. Shangyu and Feiyan was the only one pissed by this development, but still withdrew, though he flicked his sleeve in annoyance. Prime Minister's order spread all over and the fighting stopped, with the Sword Star Empire pulling back. The battlefield soon became silent as the grave, having lost all the clamor of weapons and shouting. On northern land's side, 200 defensive arrays got crushed and had lost more than half their men. Their last barrier was about to fail as well, and then they would have all got mowed down. Marshal Luo Yunhai was tense, soaked in sweat, and equally incredulous at a Sword King's might. They managed to last the first 6 days all due to their defenses, but once the 4 Sword Kings stepped in, it felt like the world came crashing down on them. He gnashed his teeth and shouted, "Hold fast, one more day, every last one of you hold, we need to buy our men time. We can't let them get past us and ruin the Grand Marshal's plan." Boom, the sudden explosion drowned his voice. All the men were shaking as they faced the relentless enemy, his words falling on deaf ears. Letting out a deep breath, he shook his head. All tactics and strategies fell through at this point, only able to defend. At the end of the day, strength was what mattered the most. His pep talk wouldn't change reality, who lost or who died. Whoosh, the explosions came to a halt out of the blue, catching Luo Yunhai off guard. Chuoba Taishan ran over with a happy look. "Marshal Luo, great news, they're falling back. The Sword Star army is retreating. We survived the onslaught, ha ha ha. They're leaving." Luo Yunhai was dazed, then he turned to his head steward. "Steward Zhuge, what are they up to? Why fall back out of nowhere?" Zhuge Chengfeng was deep in thought at the sudden development. A soldier rushed over and bowed, carrying a jade slip. "Clan head," Serling sent word. Snatching and reading it, Luo Yunhai smashed it on the ground, exploding in anger. "What the hell, those geezers? What is it, clan head?" "What happened?" Zhuge Chengfeng asked with a start. Luo Yunhai took a deep breath, his face twisted in rage as he spat. Serling said those old coots ordered retreat just as Invincible's sword was about to die. "What? Zhu Chengfeng pursued, what of Steward Zhuo? What did he say? Luo Yunhai sighed, Brother Zhuo got caught by the sea demon when he went after it and is now missing. This decision is all on those old guys, so that's why. Zhu Chengfeng nodded, turning to the silent hellscape where both armies bled and died. His eyes shone as he said, it seems the parties reached a hidden agreement. The war is over. How can there be peace? Luo Yunhai roared, aggrieved, his eyes bloodshot. We lost over half our men. There's only 40 million of us left. And Sir Leng said sacrificed close to 60 millions to wear down invincible sword. We lost 100 million people, equivalent to 3 lands. With the old coots giving up now, then how are we supposed to defend the next time they attack? The death toll is tremendous, and we paid a heavy price as well. Who is going to take responsibility? Did they just die for nothing? Chuoba Taishan didn't take the news too well either. Only Zhu Chengfeng sighed and nodded as he explained, Clan head, allow me to be blunt. I've been a dynasty's prime minister and know exactly what these men in power care about, having served an emperor myself. Using the chance of Steward Zhu's disappearance, their moral compass, Bailey Jingwei, strike them where it hurt the most, having leverage over them and making them cease the war regardless. As for what they are so much about, clinging to power. As for the forces of the 4 lands and the damage, they have little concern. Haven't the lands reared so many experts just to keep them safe? Clan head, I'll be honest with you. These 4 lands leaders may be of righteous sex and lofty as immortals, but they wallow in lust for power, incapable to rise above the mundane world. Wanting them abandon everything and give their everything for Tao is fundamentally impossible. They might be willing to sacrifice their lives, but there are some things they find far more valuable than life, more valuable than our lives. Steward Zhu used to say desires held you back. For so many years, the 4 lands feared the frail scholar, Bailey Jingwei, for this exact reason. Bailey Jingwei is a master manipulator of others' desires. The only one who can fight him on this is Brother Zhuo. Luo Yunhai nodded in understanding, then teared up. Speaking of, I miss Brother Zhuo, Steward Zhuge. He may be missing, but I want to find him with sister. And when I do find him, I'll never let him go. Zhu Chengfeng smiled. I know clan head is aggrieved, but it's best not to see Steward Zhu like your past whiny self, Stop teasing. Luo Yunhai glared at him. Deep in the North Sea, in heaven's sealing Sea Ao's domain, Zhuo Fan was still out, laying on the icy sea, looking haggard and weak. Kaior watched over him with worry. Xiao was concerned as well, ignoring his wounds. They both failed to notice that no pain was greater than a withered heart. Zhuo Fan had sunk into an abyss. It was all up to him to wake or not. A drop plopped in the water, sending ripples. In a black space, a man stood beside a pond with a crushed expression. There was nothing around him, just emptiness. Zhuo Fan's eyes were by all account dead. An aged hand appeared just then, landing on his shoulder. Zhuo Fan never so much as blinked. A faint smile came into view as a stooped man walked to his side to sit. You're back. Didn't I tell you not to come to this dark place? You'll never get out. Who are you? Zhuo Fan stiffly turned around to see only the outline in the darkness. Then he recalled, you're that. The old man nodded, and a row of white teeth were revealed in the darkness. Yes, I told you last time that I'll come every time you appear here to stop you from passing on. Last time was due to nearing death, but this time is far more dangerous. Your heart, your will is dead. Sorry, I made you see me again. Aren't you even going to ask me who I am? No point, I don't need to know anyway. Zhuo Fan spoke, his lonely eyes made him look like a corpse. The old man shook his head. It'll be a shame to yearn for death so soon. I helped you in protecting the girl's life. If you want to see her again, live and meet her in the sacred domain. What? Zhuo Fan shook all over, astonished. With only his teeth showing, the old man looked faded, yet a prismatic glow hovered over him. Remember how I told you to accept everything about the one you care. I am the same. I can't have you sink into oblivion ever, but I'm afraid this will be the last time. I can no longer protect you from here on. Take more care of yourself. The old man turned into the prismatic glow and faded away. Senior Zhuo Fan shot to his feet, awake. Kaior jumped in joy. Dad, you're back. Kid, you're up at last. You only have a scratch here and there and collapse from exhaustion. Even so, you were out for a whole week. For a moment there I thought you lost your will, never to rise again, Xiao laughed in glee. The next thing you know, you wake up like nothing. Zhuo Fan saw black before his eyes and touched their seal. What bothered him most was the lack of any trace of his wife's energy. He rushed. King Cheng. What about King Cheng? Senior Xiao? You mean the girl? You saved her, so take it easy. Me? Yeah, Xiao explained after seeing the confused expression he had on. To save you, she took the thunder flame into her body. Just as her soul was about to fade away, a sovereign path came out of you, shielding the last vestige of her soul from annihilation. It was the only thing that stood in the way of her rejoining the mere spiritual energy of the world around us. Zhuo Fan's brow shook hard, looking pale and dismayed. Sovereign path. Isn't that what legends talk of only as the ultimate skill of the sovereign stage, one form that gives eternal life? How come I have it? You don't know? Of course not. I'd have used it from the start if I did, not to waste time running all over the place. In that case, I know even less. Xiao shrugged and grinned. It said only a sovereign can wield a sovereign path, as in the 10 sovereigns. Hardly a feat possible by a Dao amateur like you. Does that mean a sovereign resided within you to protect your little old life? He, that's quite the backing, kid. Now who on earth are you exactly? Plagued with confusion, Zhuo Fan was lost, but then he snapped back as he recalled the hazy elder. Has he always been protecting me? But who was he? Why would he appear only as my life is about to be extinguished? His mind was drowned in question with no answer, questions he could only put aside for now. He instead asked Xiao in worry, what about King Cheng's soul? Where is she? I threw it in the sacred domain. Sacred domain? Yes, Xiao grinned. Boy, you and the last luck is out of this world. Did you know the North Sea had a connection with the sacred domain? Zhuo Fan mulled over. From Dragon Ancestors' map, close to the North Sea is indeed a whirlwind tunnel, but I didn't know where exactly. Then let me tell you about Heavenly Rebirth Lake, the lake in legends saying it can have someone reborn. Zhuo Fan's heart jumped in shock. It's only a myth in the sacred domain, a mere hearsay, and mostly taken as a mere story. But after looking through the 9 Serenities' secret records, I knew it to be Rebirth's sovereign seat of enlightenment. It twisted time and space, and as long as just a sliver of your soul remains, rebirth is possible into an easy life. Only its hard barrier makes it impossible for all but the fated to enter. The other 9 sovereigns were no different. Such a miracle of creation was actually here in all places. Go figure, Xiao nodded. Every sovereign has their own unique ability, seat of enlightenment. None may enter but themselves. Maybe because of your thunderflame in relation with the divine eye of the void, you tore a gap in the barrier. Don't you find it connected how it was the heavenly rebirth lake here of all places? It offered the last the chance to be reborn. The other option would be ending up as a cripple if not outright dying from having but a sliver of soul remaining. Zhuo Fan pondered and finally nodded with a smile. That's why that senior told me to live to see her in the sacred domain. King Cheng is already there, then I will survive until we see each other once more. But who was he? How did a sovereign end up within me? Why would he give everything to help me? Why would he choose nothingness just to help me save King Cheng? Regardless of it all, this is one immense favor I have to return. The only question is if I'll ever get the chance. Zhuo Fan finally showed a wide and bright smile, his heart at peace. She is yet to pass on, waiting for me out there for the moment we're together again. Taking a deep breath, Zhuo Fan's deathly outlook now turned vibrant with hope and vitality. He aimed for sacred domain to fight, but now he had another reason, love. Zhuo Fan's mindset shifted just as faint sounds reached their ears. Zhuo Fan started as he sensed the source to be the vaulting demonic sword. On its blade there was also the blazing black thunderflame. It must hurt, right? While you kid were taking a week-long nap, the sword was being burnt all this time. Xiao smirked, looking at the shaking blade, teasing, kid, I don't know how you got such an idiotic sword spirit. The 6th grade sacred weapon was made by Sword Sovereign, with the rarest of ores from the 5 danger zones. Not even your thunderflame can so much as scratch its blade. Yet the swords taking on your thunderflame very soon got snuffed. Just look at the other 3 swords, becoming dead in just an hour. Only this sword spirit fueled the fire with its spiritual energy and let the thunderflame burn it for 7 days. Talk about the pinnacle of stupidity, enduring so much pain and anguish. The sword gave an indignant shake while also showing its impatience as the flames crackled with much force. Zhuo Fan was connected to the sword spirit and sensed it smirking. I get it, you sure are ambitious. Let's give it a try. What are you talking about? Xiao looked out of it as he stared at Zhuo Fan. He took the ring from Kaior and his hands shone with glittering sacred stones, taking flight and burrowing into the ice and snow. Xiao watched from the side. In 6 hours, the array was done and Xiao gnashed his fangs, refining array. What for, can't you tell, senior? What else but refining? Zhuo Fan chuckled, signaling, and the demonic sword skipped into the array, with the other 3 divine swords flying inside. Zhuo Fan was then focused, making signs as he shouted, heaven, earth, mystical and nature, earth, water, wind and fire, with the thunderflame as medium 4 swords unite, with my sword spirit controlling the shift. Boom. Zhuo Fan then ended with pointing at the array, unleashing a reverberating explosion that shook the whole of the domain. The thunderflame on the demonic sword slipped into the array, surging with strength from the power of the array. It grew so high, one might think it would puncture heaven itself. The 4 sacred swords enveloped in the black blaze began to melt. Boy, do you have it in you to refine sacred weapons. Xiao looked stunned. We're talking about the 6th grade sacred weapons that the Sword Sovereign made and you think you can refine them. Zhuo Fan shook his head. My skills are mere parlor tricks compared to Sword Sovereign, but I'm not trying to refine his sacred weapons, now am I? I only want to combine them to fulfill my sword spirit's wish. That's impossible. The Sword Sovereign needed the 5 sacred beast powers to refine them. I even helped him get them. That is the reason these 5 sacred weapons are our bane. He also had the same idea of combining the 5 powers while refining them to make a sovereign weapon. But with the powers in conflict, everything came to waste. You expect to succeed where he failed. He failed because he lacked something I happen to have. Zhuo Fan was gravely releasing black energy in waves at the array as he pushed out his palms. Demon transformation art, whoosh and inky black like the darkest night descended, swallowing the 4 divine swords now warped under the constant torment of the thunderflame. The demonic sword exploded in a scarlet and bloody light, using it to envelop the 3 swords. As the thunderflame and the black energy ate away at the 3 blades, the amalgamation within the bloody bubble twisted and melted into one entity in the form of a black sword. Xiao stood agape, remembering to shout after a long time, I totally forgot you combined the 5 sacred beast powers. How hard could melting sacred weapons be? Sacred weapons are tough, with no mortal flame able to scratch them, while the thunderflame is the supreme power of the world. Using it to melt the bodies and the demonic method to merge the sword styles, the thing Sword Sovereign failed becomes achievable in your hands. Kid, you sure are something. A humming was heard, and a black blade with blue, red, green, and golden stripes flew out of the inferno. Zhuo Fan gripped it in his hands. It's not me, but the 9 Serenities Sovereign and the Sword Sovereign. I am merely standing on the shoulders of giants. Zhuo Fan beamed. Senior Xiao, I shall never forget what you did for me today. Farewell. I need to get back to sacred domain. Zhuo Fan, where are you, Zhuo Fan? On the shore of North Sea, devastated from the brutal and bloody battle, the surviving Sea Bright sect disciples were busying themselves restoring the heavy damage. Only a few people traveled along the shore of the expansive sea, shouting and pleading with tears in their eyes. Luo Yuncheng with Shuinger and their people were searching with a bleak outlook for one missing man. Luo Yunhai was walking aside, gazing at the vast waters with a heavy sigh. Brother Zhu, we finally came to know you're alive, but where could you have gone to now? A dead man like him always pops out of nowhere and vanishes in the same fashion moments later. He won't even drop by for a visit. We get that you're busy, but the least you could do is send us words now and then and not keep us heartbroken and always worrying about you. Wiping her tears, Luo Yuncheng chided. Her sisters consoled her, giving her a handkerchief. Luo Yunhai shook his head. Sister, don't feel bad. Brother Zhuo has great fortune, and I'm sure this time is no different. That's for the good guys. No evil wicked man ever got blessed with good luck. Someone shouted in reply. They all turned in anger at an elegant and lofty girl, her eyes always looking far over the wide sea. She looked cold and sorrowful, but her biting words clearly struck someone when they were down. Luo Yuncheng stared daggers at her and snapped. What did Zhuo Fan ever do to you? Why are you cursing him when we don't even know if he's alive? His fate is no mystery, not when he's dead. The girl sighed. Everyone knows how strong the sea demon is, and the information we have says that when the sea demon withdrew, only the invincible swords group got out. That fiend is without a doubt laying crushed under the sea demon's paw. His sins are heavy, but out of respect for the departed, I will stop here. I only want for no one to follow his example on the evil and bloody path he trailed. Hey, what's the big idea? Sister Zhu, Brother Zhu is gone now, so could you at least try to show some consideration? Luo Yuncheng raged, waving her hands around in defiance. Another girl rushed over to placate them. Did you forget why we're here? Brother Murong and my father are still missing. A man strutted over to the girls, shouting, Sister Zhu Yanner, I had no luck finding father and the others. What about on your side? The 3 were also here, searching the rubble. Murong Zhu ignored them and went to look. Good and evil have always been on separate sides. The devil is gone, but the whole world knows of his sins. You may refuse to hear the truth, but do you think you can stop all people from talking? Wait, Luo Yunhai held out her hand to block them. Her eyes glimmered and Luo Yunhai walked to her and looked into the other girl's flat gaze. Miss, don't judge before you understand. Zhuo Fan is my big brother and my Luo clan's steward. As his brother and clan head, I am unable to ignore your blatant slander. You call big brother a fiend with grave sins. Why, you're his little brother. Well, so am I. Take a powder. Ouyang Chanking snickered, worming his way in their graces, but Murong Zhu glared at him before turning to Luo Yunhai. I am not talking behind someone else's back, nor am I insulting the departed. Evil is evil. Since you wish to know his vile deeds, I shall lay them all out for you. Murong Zhu began with her trip to the central area. When she finished, Luo Yunhai sneered, Central area is our enemy. Brother Zhu was besieged on all sides by enemies. Whether in self-defense or attacking, it was all within his right. You call that a crime? In that case, who among the 4 land leaders, including your Murong clan, is innocent? He involved countless innocents from a merchant group. Those clinging to the powerful should be ready to fall alongside them. But all those lives gone before their time. Where you see life, I see fairness. Luo Yunhai retorted, you call them innocent, the same type of innocent fostered on wealth and power. Could those innocent hands be clean then, never stained with blood and grime? Since they aren't, then they're not innocent. You might even say they received just rewards. What's there to sympathize with? Murong Zhu frowned, unrelenting. Sinners as they might have been, not all deserve death, yet so many have died. You don't get to judge who dies or lives or how much of a sinner one is. What gave you the idea they deserved to live? Brother Zhu said once, corruption begets corruption. They might have just stolen a single needle, but what goes around comes around. To say nothing of a merchant group, wallowing in profits, their hands couldn't be dirtier. Brother Zhu did the world a favor, acting in heaven's stead. He's not heaven. Who is he to pass judgment in its stead and harm so many people? Neither are you. Why do you insist on labeling Brother Zhu as evil while calling yourself righteous? Luo Yunhai matched her at every turn, leaving Murong Zhu tongue-tied. Zhu Changfeng chuckled to himself. Clan head statecraft is progressing well. He stepped over, encouraging, Miss, I was once an imperial prime minister, and can say with confidence that among officials and merchants, countless people lay dead at their feet. The Murong clan is a righteous clan, with Miss only looking at the thousands of casualties and not at the details leading to the disaster. To be honest, in my capacity as his formal opponent and now colleague, I can assure you that Steward Zhu is fair. Fair, Murong Zhu mocked, pointing at the thousands of corpses, howling in exasperation. You call it fair. His vile plan of having so many lives accompany him in death. Luo Yunhai cast a cold eye on the bodies, shouting back, Commander Taoba, present. Zhuo Taishan snapped to attention on Luo Yunhai's side. Commander Taoba, tell this miss what was our relationship a dozen years ago. Enemies, and Zhuo Fan, enemies, have you met in battle? How did it conclude? In Tianyu's Great War, I suffered a crushing defeat. My soldiers laid to waste, my officers broken, the death toll uncountable. I marked the end of my career. Do you hate him? What hate is there for a soldier to fight on the battlefield that uses his own strength? Zhuo Taishan chuckled, then snapped loudly. Hate is a sign of cowardice. Hate cannot prevail over an enemy. I lost to Zhuo Fan, and all he has is my utmost respect. I only think of fighting him again, nothing more, nothing less. Luo Yunhai dismissed him, turning a sharp gaze on Murong Zhu. Now you see. On the field of battle, where the fighting is most fierce, it is measured in defeat or victory and not in casualties. Best be prepared to die the moment you step into the fray, for there is no good and evil, only weak and strong. In this war, the 4 lands had prevailed over the central area. Regardless of the casualties, we won. This was Brother Zhu's justice. None shall ever call him vile or evil. If you think war is evil, then let me tell you the difference. Luo Yunhai flicked his hand, and a map appeared before her eyes. Due to Brother Zhu's plan, the battle resumed to only northern lands, allowing the other 3 lands to be safe. Even with the enemy armies entering deep into the 3 lands, due to Brother Zhu's tactic, they had always been on the move, not stopping for anything, thus their influence minimal to the people. You're a leader of southern lands. Now you may return home and see if even a grass was touched. Also, even with the war waged on northern lands soil, we held the front line, stopping them from taking any step deeper while our people behind assaulted the invincible sword. In between, no civilian had been affected. When the war was over, they were still living their normal lives. Brother Zhu had come up with the plan, but no innocents have been implicated. This is being impartial. Murong Zhu's brow shook hard, muttering, her voice weak, but his plan caused many people to die. If not for him, even if we lost, there wouldn't be so many casualties. Miss Murong, weren't you listening? Brother Zhu only let those involved die and not the innocent. Luo Yunhai's sharp stare never left her, roaring, to be blunt, the war between the 4 lands and central area is nothing but a battle of interests between us who use these lands' resources. All the deaths are warranted, for we fought for ourselves. The true cruelty and evil would have been dragging the populace into it. They suffer when we flourish, they suffer when we decline. What do they ever get in peacetime? Why should we involve them in wars? It's the same as driving a spiritual beast-pulled carriage and you find 6 children playing in the road. If you decide to veer off, you'd be hitting the one child hiding behind a tree. What would you choose? Would you be trampling the children or the other one? Murong Zhu was stuck. Allow me to help you. Luo Yunhai shouted over her. You only see lives as numbers and would have chosen the lone child without fault to protect the 6 playing in the road. Since they were more, you believe you did the right thing. Here's where Brother Zhu differs. He would have gone over the 6 children, for they were in the wrong and had to suffer the consequences, instead of having an innocent life take the fall for them. That's being impartial. The same applies to us now. To involve even one innocent life into our war would have been the greatest sin. No matter how many of us died from battle, all are within our rights. For we refuse to give what we have. When every man is for himself, what's there to complain about? Rooted on the spot, Murongzu looked dumbly at Luo Yunhai, words failing her and even mounting a retort. Luo Yunhai gave her a hard stare. I know Brother Zhu isn't a saint by any means, but he is one demon I respect. He never lays his hands on good people, with demons always fighting other demons. To my eyes, he is heaven's judge in punishing evil. I ask that you keep your insults you have for him to yourself. Your immature understanding of kindness and justice have no use in this world. Yunhai flicked around and left, leaving the three in complete stupefaction. Zhu Chengfeng quickened his step to catch up to the clan head. Luo Yunhai paused moments later. Clan head, noticing his dark look and clenched fists, Zhu Chengfeng asked. Luo Yunhai gulped, his voice low. Steward Zhu, we are too passive. Even in times when the Luo clan had nothing to their name, I still didn't feel as passive as now. We had him, we were so close to winning after the bitter and heavy sacrifices, yet we gave it all up just because the ones above said so. Clan head, I understand your feelings. Zhu Chengfeng smiled, his eyes sharp. Clan head wants to seize power, recalling our unstoppable rise. Luo Yunhai nodded. We've had a swift growth in the western lands, but far too benign. We have never held the right to decide in any real situation. Just how we were sent to risk our lives, then gave it all up the next moment. We never had a say in it. We're only reactive. I want to lead the world and not have some codger's toy with me. Luo Yunhai's eyes shone as he revealed his wish. Zhu Chengfeng nodded. I understand everything, clan head. With the world now recovering after the chaos, it is ripe with opportunities. We will help clan head take it all. You can be sure of that. Luo Yunhai glanced at him, signaled, and left with his people. But for the first time, his eyes held a deep desire for power. When in Tianyu, it was Zhuo Fan who helped him with every plan. The Luo clan was weak but not defenseless, taking its due share every time and working its way up to change its fate. After Zhuo Fan left, he gave Lu Yunhai 3 great minds to help with everything while laying the groundwork for the development of the Luo alliance. He groomed the righteous clan to never lose its core values or its honest style, earning the admiration of people everywhere. Now, even with how great the Luo alliance was, it was nothing but a pawn from the western lands on the world chessboard. Pushed around, told what to do, striving and suffering, yet not once able to fight for the right of those that perished. Even in their civil war, they just ignored the imperial order. Here, though, in the War of the Lands, they were to stop when told to, regardless of if the higher-ups lacked the decency to explain why. Regardless of the deal those old men reached, one thing was certain, they the little men had nothing to do with it. They were there to be used. Luo Yunhai had never before been treated with such callous disregard, like a convenient tool. His heart burned with the desire to change the futility and weakness he felt. In this cruel world, morals and duty are garbage without the power to back them. You might care for the men under you, but would your superior sympathize? You might worry about the people, but would those above? Duty and honor were built on supreme power. Everything else was moot. It's why Brother Zhuo took the Luo clan to the top of Tianyu before leaving. For even being another's right-hand man, you'd still be his pawn. I've grown lazy these years to not understand Brother Zhuo's pain. Luo Yunhai closed his eyes, tearing up a bit, but then he snapped them open with resolve. No more, Brother Zhuo, you've left us 3 great minds to assist our assault, not defenses. The Luo clan will climb its way higher, starting now. Never again shall we be stuck in a rut like today. We write our own fate, not letting others use us ever again. Luo Yunhai walked on with purpose and determination. Murongzu never spoke a word. Hey, who does the punk think he is? You think you're so tough yelling at my girl? Ouyang Chengqing finally reacted and lashed out. Shangyun Qingyan glanced at him and smirked. You complain now when they're gone. What was that back there then? It's just he made damn good sense and I had no comeback. Besides, he's Big Brother's brother and I have to show restraint, or Big Brother might come after me. All bark and no bite. Shangyun Qingyan rolled her eyes in disdain. Murongzu's eyes shook and said to Ouyang Chengqing, you believe him, that what that fiend did was impartial? Well, Ouyang Chengqing glanced at her, not wanting his answer to anger her. Zhuo Chengqing, Yanner, you're here. Elder brother, dad, father. The 3 were caught by surprise at the familiar shout, then turned with joy to find their family they had been searching for all along. The 3 were looking grave, even with their warm gaze upon their children and siblings. Murongzu sensed the change and frowned. Brother, what is it? The 3 sighed, with Muronglai beginning. Zhuo, this will be our last meeting for a long time, if not final. What? The 3 juniors shouted. Muronglai gestured to them to calm down. We have discussed retiring and understanding Dao in peace. Henceforth, Zhuo, you shall be the acting Murong clan head. Chengqing, you'll only have yourself to look after you in the sect from now on. Yanner, tell my decision to our venerables and elders. Take care, Ouyang Lingshan and Shangyun Feixian gave their own encouragements, their eyes firm. The juniors were left dumbstruck, but why? In our fight with the invincible sword, we came to understand that we've let the mundane matters take over our lives for too long, keeping us from seeing the path. We bug our minds with the secular affairs, unlike Sir Zhuo and Bailey Yushin, who despite being in the secular world, their hearts only focus on Tao. We need to return to seclusion. Murong Lai was the only one who spoke. As for the second reason, you should know by now. How did the war end? The juniors looked confused. Murong Lai sighed. I guess you're too young still to see it, so I'll tell you. Ever since we woke up among the Ruble, we saw the war ending and were stunned. We went to sect leader Ling and then came to know of the deal with Bailey Jingwei, 100-year peace. But who is to stop the invincible sword after that? All I got from him was silence. Or better yet, they never once thought about it or cared. For with the fall of the invincible sword, it meant the four sword kings would run amok in their lands. While with the invincible sword alive, the world war might have its second act in the future. The death toll would be even higher, with the people suffering for it. Zhuo, you know that our clan is a clan of valor. Shangyuan clan is righteous, but even our venerables gave in to the proposal. Also, they could keep the clan alive for a century more. Murong Zhu lowered her head and bit her lip. Take me but save the world. It's the foundation of the Murong clan, but never imagined the day would come when they would push the pain 100 years later on their children. Murong Lai shook his head. Zhuo, we've let the profane infect us and twist our views. The Murong clan isn't what it used to be. Shangyuan clan is the same. Thus we decided to step back from worldly affairs. Sending righteousness into the mundane world only invites temptation and decay. Perhaps it only helps demonic cultivators to understand their path better. Murong Zhu shuddered and Zhuo Fan's warning rang in her mind. For the righteous to reach the end, rising above is a must. Surrounded by the profane and your Tao heart will be tainted. Drowned in your demons, you might never find righteousness again. The fiend is so clear on both paths. Does that mean I'm the one unable to tell the difference between the two? Juniors, this is goodbye. Murong Lai cupped his hands and laughed. The other two did the same and left just like that. The juniors' shouts were too slow to reach them. Murong Zhu was left there, with closed eyes and a sigh as she recalled Zhuo Fan's ridiculing smile. Facts spoke louder than words. Her own brother was disappointed in their clan. Their clan had long since lost their righteous reputation, selling out the people of the four lands. It was all them and not those vile and cunning demons. It seems I need to do the same as my brother, go into hiding and learn the way. With a bitter smile, Murong Zhu sighed. I hope that once I understand everything, I'll see you in a different light, fiend. The War of the Lands started after more than a year of ample preparations from both sides, yet lasted under 2 weeks. These few days were more than enough to cause a widespread change to the world. The losses in the war were the highest on the four lands side, having been the one at disadvantage to begin with. They had lost close to 3/4 of all their manpower to hold back the invading army. It was nothing more than a Pyrrhic victory of blood and carnage. Nonetheless, a win was what they had achieved against a formidable foe. They had forced the central area into retreating. Yet it felt more of a defeat because when the chance presented itself to finish off the undefeated empire, they chose to let it slip away for some odd reason. All the soldiers who risked their lives and the very few lucky ones to have outlived this war felt toyed with at the news. For what had they bled so much? While the powers that be talked among each other, the lower rung was easily swayed and gullible, saying something like it was for their own good, as more losses would be disastrous or any such sanctimonious excuses was enough. This took their mind off the reality that the invincible sword was going to come back with a vengeance, possibly go berserk in his assault. While a fraction of officers were sharp enough to figure it out, the main bulk of the army was made up of lost sheep going where the wind blew. All the pain, bloodshed, and suffering felt soothed with tangible gains in their hands. After such a genocidal war, many crucial positions in the four lands became open. In the Western lands case, the 9 sects were in short supply of disciples and elders, and they started mass recruiting. In the Eastern lands and Southern lands cases, the head clans ruling them were short-handed as well and needed to fill in countless spots, mostly low positions. With brilliant prospects ripe for the taking, many scrambled to climb the social ladder. For who had the time to mind insipid stuff like the illogical decision of the leaders to negotiate a ceasefire? The Luo alliance had heavy losses as well and also took in crowds of people into their fold. Every time he saw the boundless greed in all their eyes, Luo Yunhai sighed. The pigs, Ling Wucheng and Zhu Chengfeng were happy though, as supreme power was being dumped on their heads. Without these fools who would carry out all those power plays and upstaging battles, such was reality. As the Luo alliance wasn't a selective sect that took one disciple at a time, it could gobble up whole clans by the dozens. It recruited like a ravenous whale feasting on krill. In mere months, it was halfway back to its old self. It left all the sects in the dust and in utter shock. The Luo alliance experienced the swiftest growth after the war. While the quality left much to be desired, it made up in quantity. It jumped right into being at a top middle 3 sect level and even showed signs of catching up to a superior 3 sect. Double Dragon Manor was just as stunned. Before, the Luo alliance was only at the top lower 3 sect level. The growth was just insane. It soon became apparent why. This was the Luo alliance's spoils from the war. Being an alliance, it had swift growth as its main feature. This was noted even before the war, though not at this rate since other veteran sects stood above. Now that the veteran powers were weakened, the Luo alliance showed just how fast it could bolster their ranks. Exalted Double Dragon sighed. Zhuo Fan has set up the Luo alliance well. Luo alliance will soon become the head of the 9 sects, if not on the Double Dragon Manor's level. None of them were aware that this war had stirred Luo Yunhai to reach for the top. Double Dragon Manor would have no chance to stop it by then. Some clans cheered, others bemoaned. While the western lands were buzzing with activity and recuperation after the war, the southern lands, northern lands, and eastern lands were in the pits of despair, wretched, and devastated. Their main factions were recovering, sure, but the main issue here was the lack of a most crucial figure. The 3 divine swords got lost when their wielders entered the sea demon's black mist in a grave state, and now those 3 clans washed their hands of their land's problems, opting for seclusion. The 3 lands were left dumbstruck. Without the leaders, it'd be a miracle if they could withstand the 9 sword kings, to say nothing of the invincible sword. To get these 3 leaders to come back to them, the Northern Lands group kicked Ayang Chanking's door. The Eastern Lands blue bloods waited at Shangyun Qingyan's house for news, while the Coots in the Southern Lands had the Murong compound on lockdown to not let Murong Lai go, staying there until death if they had to. They were met with a vile and most unscrupulous Ayang Chanking. He knew they needed him, so he had no qualms in asking for a bribe then and there. To make it worse, he flaunted in their face every day, acting like the king of the Northern Lands and getting on their nerves because he knew they couldn't touch him. As for when his old man would come around, he made sure to be as vague as possible. In Shangyun Qingyan's case, there was a lady too refined and poised to fall so low, so she bolted her door to any and all solicitors. The troublemakers were easily dispatched with the help of the clan's 3 venerables. They were far from helpless. After some thorough examples were made, the crowd knew when to take a hint. The biggest shock came in the Murong clan. Murong Lai vanished, and as it turned out, so did his sister. With the 2 gone, the clan had no one to turn to. Having lost their divine swords and their leaders, the 3 lands were at their weakest in history. With little choice, they returned to restoring their strength. They learned from the western lands to just take in people en masse for the common ranks. This ought to patch up the most glaring vulnerability. The more the better, no. The 4 lands being in such a horrid mess presented the perfect chance to the central area to take them all down. With their 9 sword kings, a division was more than enough to mow them down. Bailey Jingwei's peace accord made it impossible, having pledged on his own Dao heart from invading those lands for the century to come. Though a man as wise as Bailey Jingwei was not so foolish to set himself up to 100 years of stagnation. The peace came to be because he had no choice. He truly needed a century of peace. The Sword Star Empire was the mightiest, employing the greatest army, but it had lost its cohesion, a thing of the past replaced by bits and pieces. With the central area's vast swaths of lands and riches, in just a couple of weeks, 1 million insurrections ignited. A third of the towns fell, making it the worst civil war in the history of the central area. Zhuo Fan made a killer move, telling the Serene Shores trading to rise up in time of war. Even within the relatively short time frame, the Serene Shores trading had no qualms and flipped the mighty nation upside down, especially how void it was of any real military to stop them. The entire insurrection was a chain reaction. With one taking the lead, the other local thugs followed right after. It led to the mighty nation that knew only peace for a millennia burning down to pieces faster than tinder. Bailey Jingwei himself was stunned to find the peace he maintained had so many dangers lurking under the surface. They hardly were worth notice if they had been put out when they started. Now, though, he had to rein it in and look after his patriarch while pacifying the 4 sword kings. He knew, though, that the Sword Star Empire was now changed forever. The insurrection was on a massive scale. He might force it to simmer, but the embers would still be there, losing the cohesion it enjoyed for so many years. To cull all the foreign elements from such a large territory required time and patience, 100 years at least. Bailey Jingwei made the vow for good reason. He did not want the 4 lands to mess up his nation any more than it already was. Funny how the four lands leaders still thought they had forced Bailey Jingwei into a corner to make such a proposal, enjoying their victory. They were just oblivious to the fact that Bailey Jingwei played them all this time. It was something every side needed right now. Prime Minister Bailey the most. Grandmaster, how is the patriarch's condition? In a dim hall, a wizened old man came from behind a thick drape. Bailey Jingshan rushed him for answers. The emperor and the crown prince were right behind him. The man bowed, "Your Majesty, Prime Minister, Your Highness, I have given Patriarch a 12th grade pill to stabilize." However, what? All asked in one voice laced with concern. The elder frowned. The Patriarch's wounds are beyond deep, his yuan qi spent, his core damaged. The Patriarch still had the strength to live for close to 1,000 years more, but as he is now, he shall find his rest in 100 years, beyond any hope. You're saying Patriarch has only 100 years? Bailey Jingwei's heart jumped in his throat. Grandmaster, the nation can't do without the Patriarch. There has to be, the old man sighed. Humans have their limits, and so do I unless. What? The Patriarch advances before the end, extending his life. I've lived for so many years already, and with the Patriarch at the very peak, there still has not been any case of there being another realm above it. Thus, bam, Bailey Jingwei crushed his skull with his palm, his eyes cold. Bailey Jingshi gasped. He was an imperial 12th grade alchemist. Not a word can escape the Patriarch's condition. Bailey Jingwei's eyes flashed, glancing at the bleeding body. Your Majesty, he would have died even if he was a miracle worker. What do you think the four sword kings will do the minute they know of the Patriarch's condition? Bailey Jingshi nodded after a thought. How did you handle them? Are they truly in the dark about everything? I made sure no word escaped carrying the Patriarch back to the imperial capital. I even had the 5 sword kings stay silent. The 5 of them were wounded and I had them sent to recover. The other 4 were sent to quell the rebellions. In any case, with the Patriarch still reigning, they will do nothing. That's why the Patriarch must be safe. With hatred in his eyes, Bailey Jingwei's voice was steel. In a gloomy forest, Wu Randong stood before the cute Kaior, the young Gu Santong and Zhuo Fan between them, his eyes covered with a white ribbon. Begin our way to the top. Clang, it was a black night, the darkness all-consuming. The only glimmer of life came from the moon above, offering its gentle and cool glow upon the land. However, it didn't last, as black clouds hid it behind a curtain of obscurity. A group of bare-chested men holding spiritual weapons in a cave struck the walls in a precise manner, enlarging it so that a person could pass. Friends, past tomorrow, will be free of this nerve-wracking life. Harder, brothers, a big man with whiskers for a mustache, sneaked his way in front and whisper-shouted. The others lit up in hope. Damn, we're finally done with this. Boss, you have no idea, but the envoy that put us here had me soil my pants in fear. Everyone knows this place is beyond dangerous, and getting caught means death of the worst kind. I thought this was my end, but 3 months came and went while actually finishing our mission, so we get to go home. I'm curious if we'll ever get the fortune to see Palace Lord. Keep dreaming. The big man rolled his eyes. I've been a member for 100 years now, an elder you could say, but I still have yet to catch a glimpse of his face. And you hope to see him after a few years? You're delusional. The rest were chuckling, looking with simple yet mocking expressions. The guy scratched his head, the hope still strong. How is the Palace Lord? Did you find anything? They say he is an elusive and mystical person of divine skill, yet none have seen his face or know how strong he is. I somehow got inside the palace as well, but I don't know when I'll ever get the honor to meet. That's hard to say. All I heard was that none can bar the Palace Lord in his travels throughout the land. My palace brothers once found themselves surrounded by 50 Genesis stage experts. When they blinked, the 50 enemies were reduced to smears of blood on the ground. They then heard, but did not see, the Palace Lord telling them to go. The Palace Lord's fame then echoed throughout. Damn. 50 Genesis stage experts killed in an instant. Is he a Central Area Sword King or something? Squinting, the men gasped in disbelief. The big man dismissed. What does a Sword King have on him? I heard that the Palace Lord has 5 kings of his own at their level, but he is still the strongest. Wow, impressed, the men said. Sure, it isn't just an inflated rumor, stronger than a Sword King. Isn't that straight up the legendary Invincible Sword? The Invincible Sword hasn't shown his face in a century. He might be dead already. In the war back then, he was hanging by a thread. The Empire is just not saying anything, is all. Let's leave the gossip for later and get to work. The big man waved impatiently, and the others began to chip away at the walls with their spiritual weapons, despite the deep curiosity obvious on their faces. Just who could the mystery and magical Palace Lord be? Can he be that strong? A short guy panicked as he ran around shouting. Run, the Flying Cloud Manor's dogs are coming. The Flying Cloud Manor? The guys started, flustering. I told you this place was dangerous. Now that we're so close to finishing the job, the Flying Cloud Manor has found us out. Shangyun Feiyan is one of the 10 Sword Kings, known for his cruelty and violence. What now, what now? Pa. The big man slapped him hard, barking, "That's enough, run, but don't forget to seal the cave so it's not discovered and make all this work go to waste." The men gave urgent nods and scrambled. They made signs to seal the cave from view and flew away at once. Whoosh, a dozen elderly just flashed in their path as they went, unleashing their mighty Genesis stage power. The men panicked and shivered at what was to come. "Ha ha ha, you got some nerve trying anything in the Flying Cloud Manor's domain. You must have a death wish." One elder laughed, walking forward and flaring his aura at the 7th layer of Genesis stage. The big man stepped ahead, using his own power while shouting, "Brothers, I'll make a path and you run." The man charged then and there. 6th layer of Genesis stage, the old man chuckled. "A mere layer's difference, but it might as well be worlds apart. You got another thing coming if you think you can escape me, ha ha ha." The old man shot for the big man. Bam! The two clashed palms, with the elder staggering back 5 steps and the big man just one, straining to stop as blood trickled down his mouth. He chose to charge again, to strike while the elder was off guard. He landed a palm on the elder's chest. "Brother lay," the men cheered, but then gasped as they saw the big man spurting blood. The elder, blown away, gnashed his teeth and wiped the blood. He glared with hatred. "Humph, you got guts to take the brunt of my palm to strike back at me, but all that did for you is increase the damage you have more than mine, fool. Hee hee, we'll see who's the real fool." The big man showed a bloody smile, shouting, "Brothers, go. I'll clear a path." The men jerked awake from their shock. The big man was hurt, but he did get the elder to back off and present a chance at escape. The men rushed at once. "Brother lay, we won't let your effort be in vain. Stop them." The elder roared, and the old men behind him surrounded them. The big man flashed before them once again, shouting, "To get to my brothers, you first have to go through me." "Our thoughts exactly." The dozen elders grinned. The big man chuckled and released a powerful wave. The elder cried, "He's detonating, scatter." The old men scrambled away at once. "Brother lay," the fugitives shouted back, but the big man gave a cackle. "I am an elder of the palace. No one can look down on me." His heroic valor had the fugitives amazed and reverent. "What palace are you talking about?" A man flashed by, a middle-aged man, staring at him hard. "You can detonate for all I care, since it won't change a thing. It can't even scratch me, but let me tell you this, not even blowing up will help them escape from me." The big man widened and his denotation was halted from shock. Sword King Feiyan. "No more popping." Shangyun Feiyan grinned, raising his hand as it released powerful energy, mocking, "In that case, I'll send you off. With so many targets to choose from, there's no harm in removing a couple defiant elements, ha ha ha." The dreaded palm aimed for his skull. The big man shook, his heart running wild, while his men were by themselves with worry. "Brother lay." Whoosh. A flash of reeds streaked by just then, meeting with the attack. Boom! The thunderous clash spread in every direction, shaking the far-off fugitives and the Genesis experts away. Even Shangyun Feiyan got blown 100 meters from his spot. He cried out in amazement, "Who did that? State your name." "Ha ha ha, Sword King Feiyan, have you forgot me already?" A youth of about 17 showed up. He had sharp eyes and an evil smile. On his waist was the token of a scarlet beast head. The big man cried out, "Why, you're one of the palace's 5 arts kings, Beast King." "I am, elder, hee hee." The youth winked. The men looked dumbstruck. It came as a complete shock to find the Beast King from their palace to be so young and so promising. He actually kicked Shangyun Feiyan away. Is that Sword King level? Does that mean Palace Lord is even better? Are the rumors actually true? Is Palace Lord as strong as Invincible Sword? The men were filled with hope. Not letting them out of his sight, Shangyun Feiyan's eyes flashed with bloodthirst. But that kick told him the opponent was no pushover, of the same caliber as him. He reached out with 2 fingers, focusing a concentrated sword energy at their tips until the very sky boomed with lightning. He was getting serious. "Whoever you are, for the audacity of facing me, death is all you'll get." The fugitives shook. Once a Sword King level expert goes wild, they would be nothing but dust in the wind from the aura alone. "Ha ha ha, what an attitude you have, Sword King Feiyan. I might have fallen for it the last time, but I'm no longer a child. It's too soon to tell how our fight goes." The youth grinned and the bones in his fists cracked as he tensed them, taking on a scarlet glow. Shangyun Feiyan was confused. "Have we met? Why can't I remember you? Who are you exactly?" "Humph, you must have gone senile, Sword King Feiyan. Did you already forget the animosity born out of harming me? I've killed more than I could count, hardly any could escape me. I can recall those that I've wounded, but I do not recall you. Did you escape my notice, crawling out from under corpses?" "Hee hee hee, right you are. I did crawl my way through death to you today so I can settle this." The youth reached out and flung the big man into the fugitives. "Leave, the Sword King and I have an old score to settle. So soon. Think again, you're all going to die here." Shangyun Feiyan roared and unleashed the attack he prepared. "None can stop my soaring sword art." Boom. With the rumble of thousands of lightning strikes, the sword energy from above started hailing down along with his sword wave. The apocalyptic image threatening to bring about the end of days. Everyone panicked, their knees shaking, their hearts frantic. The youth's red glow exploded with a mighty bestial roar, smashing with his iron fist. The scarlet glow took the form of an ancient and peculiar beast, growing and growing into the sky. Boom, the punch struck the incoming sword wave, and the very space quaked as if the world would disappear. All that remained was a thick blanket of dust. The fugitives and the Genesis experts were forced to cough blood under the tremendous impact, quickly becoming wounded and in pain. They were hanging on by a thread as it was. They were fortunate enough that the shockwave did not continue and the curtain of dust descended. Once the moon graced the battlefield with its light, the people were left speechless. Shangyun Feiyun and the youth stood in the same spot without a single scratch on them. Only the space was constantly warping around, unable to find balance. This was a dead heat, with neither gaining the upper hand. They both went all out, yet the groups behind each of them were still alive. They were the only ones harmed in this as well, but now they gulped from shock, their blood running cold. These two were absurdly strong, making all the rest around them part of the scenery, insignificant and pointless. Either side needed but a fraction more strength, and it would have wiped them out from existence. The dread the Genesis experts felt right then was so great their eyes looked ready to pop from shock. They had no clue what organization they were after when they came here to take these men. How could there exist any that could stand up to their Sword King? There was no point in chasing, now was there. They couldn't even question them, not when the big young boss was here and so tough. Shangyun Feiyun was just as stunned, feeling a headache coming and his heart sinking. His investigation into the hidden faction had been going for years now, but only today did he get the chance to touch them. Never in his wildest dreams did he think they would send someone of such power. To make it worse, he was young to boot. Shangyun Feiyun felt a shiver down his spine, unease taking hold of him. The youth smirked. Shangyun Feiyun, 100 years have gone yet no progress in sight. I even asked to be in charge of this side just so I could fight you. Now though, haha, it's so much easier than I thought. The youth looked back and smiled. Didn't I tell you to leave already? I'm going to keep fighting with the Sword King and you're just going to get dragged into it. Oh, the men jumped then bobbed their heads before making a run for it. Shangyun Feiyun was outraged, giving chase. You're not going anywhere. Bam, the youth was there to get him to back off with a kick. Sword King Feiyun, your opponent is me, he, the youth taunted. Shangyun Feiyun was enraged, more so knowing he could do nothing against someone of equal strength. The elders that he brought along thought of chasing the fugitives, but a single glance into the youth's eyes advised them against it. A Sword King-level expert could just flick their lives away. Sword King Feiyun was sullen, his eyes bloodshot as he watched the bugs scurrying away and he could do nothing to stop them. He roared under the mounting frustration, taking it out on the youth. He rushed forward and unleashed sword wave after sword wave. Bang, the earth rumbled for thousands of miles under the heavy rain of attacks. The fugitives took a curious look behind to see a glorious blaze reflected in their eyes, overcome by reverence. Brother Lei, we did good by entering the palace. Our strength is beyond anything we thought. One of them teared up and spoke with pride. With the palace's protectors, the arts kings, having such might, I just wish we could catch a glimpse of the revered palace lord. The men were getting rowdy and hopeful. Bang, knocking their heads, the big man wiped the blood on his mouth, cursing, wake up. Palace lord won't appear just because you lot want him to. I'm an elder and still haven't seen him. He'll be seeing me if that happens, and not you. Oh right, Brother Lei is right, ha ha ha. The men chuckled, welcoming the coming dawn with hope. Brother Lei, did you happen to hear that rumor spreading across the world? I wrote it off as nonsense, but the more I think about it, the more I find it true. The big man flinched and stared in amazement at him, then his smile broke out into full-blown laughter. Brothers, we will find only glory with the palace lord, ha ha ha. Bang, rumbling echoed behind them still, with the youth and Shangyun Feiyun having clashed hundreds of times by now. They were out of breath and glaring at each other still. Catching sight of the rising sun shining on the land, the youth figured the men ought to be clear by now and grinned with a light wave. Shangyun Feiyun, we'll end it here. Let's fight again later. Bye, ha ha ha. The youth turned into a red glow and fled. Stop right there. Shangyun Feiyun roared with bloodshot eyes, but all he could do was gesticulate in anger. Just where did this hidden faction come from? Report. A shout reached him as a manor guard bowed, presenting a jade slip. Sword King, sir, Prime Minister summons the 10 Sword Kings to the imperial capital to discuss how to deal with the recent Devil Palace growing in every land. Devil Palace, Shangyun Feiyun frowned, looking where the youth took off. Another Devil Palace showed up. Just what is this thing? Dad, I'm back. The job's done in Shangyun Feiyun's area. In a gloomy hall, with the only faint light coming from some candles, a bored voice sounded. A charming youth waltzed in towards the center as he spoke. The same beast king that met Shangyun Feiyun blow for blow more than 300 times. Dad's not here again. Palace Lord left 2 weeks ago, wandering the world. A magnetic voice replied, and a middle-aged man with a split mustache walked out of the gloom with a smile. Young Sanzi, since the work's done on Shangyu and Fei Yan's side, I have another task for you. Only there's trouble over there and you'll have to sort it out. Gu Santong gave a bored wave. Please, Uncle Dong, I just got back and haven't even seen Dad or Kaior. I want to look for them. Do you know where they went? The face reflecting in the faint candlelight was Serene Shores Trading's chairman, Wu Randong, only a more mature version of him. His rash and impulsive nature subdued, but now he was in his prime. Out there, you're one of the 5 Dharma Kings, protectors of the palace, right below Palace Lord. You should know better than me as to where he is. While privately, you are Palace Lord's son. Even more reason you should know where your father went. Why ask me? True, I usually know where Dad would go on most occasions. He's either looking in the horizon, standing on the North Sea shore as he grieves for mother, or in seclusion, or, right. The sword shack, clapping, Gu Santong laughed. I'll go see them right now. Wait, what is the sword shack? What about my task? Pausing in mid-run, Gu Santong looked back with a stern face. Uncle Dong, you may be my elder in private and I should help you, but this is a public matter. Do you find it wise to give me tasks then, as your superior? Palace Lord gave me the right to mobilize 2 Dharma Kings. Wu Randong looked respectful. Palace Lord said you're all grown now and strong enough to handle work before you make a mess of things and ruin Palace Lord's affairs. Uncle Dong, watch it. In the 100 years working together, when have I ever stirred things up? Palace Lord said you're a magnet for trouble and need to be shaped up. Gu Santong's face twitched, glaring at him then walking out. I'll have Dad explain to me just how I am a magnet for trouble. I might have to trade a few blows with the old man. Don't try to stop me. Stop, don't think about running. Wu Randong grabbed his arm and sighed. Fine, since you're so dead set on it, I'll have someone else do the job. I bet the only reason you even took the job in Shangyu and Fei Yan's area was because of your grudge with him. You're the best, Uncle Dong. Don't get too excited. I do have a request though. Name it. So long it's not getting bored to death staking out some place for half a year. Wu Randong turned grave and sighed. Could you ask the Palace Lord something for me? When will we go against the Sword Star Empire? Every time I raise the topic, he just says the time isn't ripe and just to wait. Then wait, Dad must have had a good reason to say that. Don't you believe him? I trust the Palace Lord's judgment. I'm just sick of waiting. Wu Randong clenched his fists, his eyes burning with hatred. 100 years, that's how long my clan has been hunted down. As long as this hatred festers within me, I can never focus on Tao and cultivate in peace. I fear that I'll have to wait until old age takes me. Bailey Jingwei has restored the empire in this century, and I see no hope in taking him down. That's why I kept asking the Palace Lord, but always got the same answer, to wait and wait. Wu Randong gnashed his teeth at the end. Gu Santong stared hard at him, then patted his shoulder. Uncle Dong, Dad won't lie to you. He's just telling you to wait for the very best moment. The Sword Star Empire isn't the only one growing. We have been bolstering our power even faster. Wu Randong squeezed a nod. Sure, I'll ask Dad about it, don't worry, then I'm off. Gu Santong patted his shoulder and turned to leave, but not before showing him a smile. Also, Uncle Dong, as an envoy, you shouldn't search for Palace Lord's location. Breaking Devil Palace's rules is a serious offense. I can overlook it for you, but you owe me, he. Gu Santong was gone, leaving Wu Randong to shake his head, his eyes deep in sorrow. A month later, a town lay on the border between western lands and the central area, Swordfall. It had a sparse population, but with how obscure it was on the border, not even a war would reach it. But with the coming of one man, its fate changed. None knew who he was or where he came from. Thus the people came to call him the blind swordsmith. The white ribbon never left his eyes, yet his refining skills were awe-inspiring. Many refining masters came to test their skills from legs beyond, only to leave with hung heads from a mere glance at his spiritual sword. In his stay here, the only refining he did was of spiritual swords. That was how he got his nickname. He even led to the town changing its name, all because of one man. For the many master refiners coming here, all found that their spiritual swords paled in comparison to his. Many renowned clans and dignitaries came upon hearing the rumors and met the Grandmaster, but the man was obscure and hardly ever saw guests. Even meeting him did not guarantee an answer, and threats didn't work too well. All that got a bit too pushy ended up missing. It drove respect and fear in all the rest. In time, those that got nothing, others that suffered too much, and those that had enough trouble for a lifetime decided to call it quits. The rumors around the blind swordsmith subsided to the level of a local attraction. He usually stayed in a small hut, with the word Sword Shack carved into a board on top. Ding. Crisp and short ringing sounded from the countless spiritual swords hung in the bamboo house. A girl of around 16, with long purple hair, held a chilling white blade, taping it. Dad, is this your latest work? It's called Eisbein, a meter-long 9.5 kg, 5th grade spiritual weapon with a constant icy edge like an evergreen. Hence the name. A youth with covered eyes smiled as he spoke. Kaior, it's something I made right after deepening my understanding of the heaven-sealing sword's art. Sealing isn't as savage like sundering and soaring. It has a gentle nature that overcomes brute force and forces on countering attacks. It is not dangerous head-on but soft, making it most suitable for women. Kaior, lip up, Dad, did you make it for me then? Well, Zhuo Fan paused, chuckling. Kaior, as strong as you are, 5th grade spiritual weapons hardly matter, acting more like decorations. Also, I feel that your nature is more blunt when using spiritual weapons. You're better off with male types. Kaior's face twitched. Dad, I'm a girl, don't you have any tact? In that case, I find a butch sword much better suited for you. You have a male air about you, ha ha ha. Pouting and whining, Kaior stared daggers at him, hugging the sword to her chest. I don't care, Dad, I want it. I've been around for 100 years now, but only a few years ago reached adulthood. I am no different from a 16-year-old human girl. This sword should be Father's gift to me for coming of age. Your childhood sure is long, 100 years at that, haha, but the sword still won't fit you. I don't care. I want it and that's that, at least it'll prove to others I'm a girl. There's an easier way to go about that, just don't move. Dad, Kaior whined, to which Zhuo Fan burst out laughing. A leisure voice then broke their father-daughter moment, soothing and sweet. Is Senior Blind Swordsmith here? Could I ask that we meet? Now that's the voice of a girl in her prime, ha ha ha, Zhuo Fan teased. Kaior asked, then you're meeting her, Dad. Have you seen me welcoming mortal guests this past 100 years? Zhuo Fan shook his head, sighing, I'm done with trifles. I only want peace in my sword shack so that I can understand the paths hidden in the four swords. Zhuo Fan got comfortable leaning back in his chair. Kaior was puzzled. Father, since you want peace and quiet, why not go someplace else? You've been known far and wide as the blind swordsmith for decades now and hardly have a few years alone. Now that another came to die, maybe the next years you'll be plagued by more suicidal fools. Haha, then I'll continue killing them. I chose this spot, so why should I avoid them? Zhuo Fan disdained. Kaior, drive them off or just kill them if they insist. Kaior shouted, Dad's not seeing anyone. Beat it, hey, the villagers were right about the old coot. So cocky to drive us out without even knowing who we are. Humph, I bet hearing our names will give him a fright, ha ha ha. A youth started making noise outside, rude and brash. But then another voice sounded, colder. Sister Siphon, shall I go in there and throw the geezer out at your feet for his transgression? They're dumb as rocks. Kaior chuckled in disdain. Dad, we've seen enough of their type throughout these decades. Prissy, cocky and suicidal. Whatever, I don't feel like waiting for them to start. Let's just get this over with. Zhuo Fan just lay back in his bamboo chair, quiet. Kaior stepped out for blood to teach these fools who not to mess with, who had real power here. The girl's voice turned angry this time around. Quiet, how can you act like this? The Luo clan is all about honor and righteousness, while the Luo alliance is a model of compassion in the Western lands. It shall never besmirch itself by picking on the weak. Once Father hears about this, he's going to beat all of you to death. Zhuo Fan froze and his brow shook. Kaior picked up on his change and halted. Her bloodthirst vanished and waited for his input. Sister Siphon, we're just trying to help. Why so angry? You've come here dozens of times with earnest requests, yet have been forced to come back sullen as the coot was away. Now that he's finally here, he's so stuck up that he won't even see you, like some ignorant fool. Yeah, Sister Siphon, we're only thinking of the toil you endured on these journeys and only want to help you achieve your wish, the two pleaded. Zhuo Fan was stern inside. So Luo clan's brats came here. Go figure, is this fate, haha. Regardless, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It's his choice to see us or not. We cannot force him like a bunch of thugs. Chiding the two, the girl requested again, Senior Blind Swordsmith, I am Luo Siphon, coming to you with an earnest plea. Please allow me to meet the generous senior on account of the dozens of fruitful visits. Kaior stood before the door, waiting on Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan smiled, waving, have them enter. I'm quite curious to know how the Luo clan's descendants turned out. Come in, Kaior waved and the bamboo door opened while she returned behind Zhuo Fan. After a loud cheer, the three entered the shack. The first was a chubby guy of around 18 of age, with harsh features that twisted in disgust at the base and crude lodgings. The next was a lanky guy holding a sword, gilded and gem-encrusted, a noble, no doubt. His angry and patronizing look turned into wonderment as he beheld the racks of dangling swords all over the place. They finally settled on respect as he looked at Zhuo Fan, even giving a bow. The third and last to come in was a girl, adorable and innocent, with a hint of childishness in her features. Upon noticing Zhuo Fan, she gave a hasty bow, stammering, Senior, I've overheard your nagging outside and you're the only one to act humane. Zhuo Fan smirked, nodding at her. The chubby guy snapped, "Say that again, geezer." The lanky guy's hand blocked him from trying anything. The girl glared as well. "Shut up or I'm telling your father." The chubby guy shrank docile, though his eyes spoke of the hatred he had for Zhuo Fan. "Imbecile, the only reason you're still breathing after making a scene is because Dad knows your seniors." Kaior gave him a patronizing look. Zhuo Fan ignored him, wanting to know how related they were. If proved negligible, humph. "Miss, I overheard you saying that you're from Luo Alliance, the same one in the Western Lands 9 sects. Of course, which other is there?" The chubby spoke from his high horse. "Well, old coot, afraid yet. The Luo Alliance is the head of the 9 sects. Even Double Dragon Manor is giving us respect, yet you dare to be so rude to us not to see us. That's a death og." The girl glared hard and stomped on his foot, making him squeal. "Quiet. Are you ignoring my warnings? Senior, please forgive us. I am Luo Siffin, daughter of Alliance leader Luo Yunhai. They are my friends. I ask that Senior overlook our rudeness." The girl cupped her hands again and bowed. Zhuo Fan gasped and lowered his head in thought. "Luo Siffin, as in Luo Mrs. Fan. So you're Luo Alliance's young miss, then what about those fools? Who are you calling a fool, geezer?" They both barked. Zhuo Fan said, "You, who else? Why do you want to hit me? Why you?" The two were fuming mad but restrained themselves on account of Luo Siffin. Though they shouted still, "We look nothing like fools." "And I look like a geezer. They say you're an old guy. Then they say you're fools." "Who? Right, who?" "Villagers, Kaior." The brats and Zhuo Fan went back and forth, with the two holding the villagers as evidence and Zhuo Fan pointing at Kaior for the perfect counter. "Since they say you're something, then Kaior as someone else, calling you a fool makes you one." The guys gnashed their teeth, faces red. How was using family as witnesses fair? Luo Siffin giggled, looking amused at Zhuo Fan. "Senior, please don't bother with them. It's my first time seeing a senior arguing with a junior. It's my first time seeing such rude youngsters." Zhuo Fan shouted, "Spit it out. What are your names? You're not going to say the Alliance head is your dad too, are you?" "Not exactly." The two spoke in unison, glancing at the blushing Luo Siffin glaring at them. Zhuo Fan blinked and asked, "What's that supposed to mean? Are you or aren't?" "Oh, sorry, my eyes aren't what they used to be and I didn't notice." Zhuo Fan cleared his voice and said, "A match of equal status, they say. So who do you think you are to give you the right?" "Humph, you really are blind as a bat, old coot. You wouldn't have asked about my right if you knew who my dad is." The chubby guy stuck out his nose way high in supreme confidence. "Allow me to tell you, I am of Long Giantian. My father is a Luo Alliance elder, Long Xingyan. My grandfather is one of the 7 founding elders of the Luo Alliance. Long Yifei." Zhuo Fan finished. "Then you're from Tianyu's Veiled Dragon Pavilion." The chubby one started at his words. "What nonsense is that? There's no such thing as Veiled Dragon Pavilion. I'm talking about Luo Alliance's elder, Long Giantian. Dad said to me once that your Long clan was Veiled Dragon Pavilion before entering the Luo Alliance." Luo Siffin interjected. Long Giantian blinked in confusion. "Really? Why didn't I know? With the Luo Alliance's resounding name, all those obscure factions have lost their worth." "Ha ha ha." Zhuo Fan shook his head. The trio looked oddly at him. Who was he really? These juniors hadn't known for a century while he knew every detail, including their history. Zhuo Fan was a complete mystery to them. Fan pointed at the skinny guy. "And who are you supposed to be?" "Another one from the 7 houses. I am Zai Nianyang, son of Zai Tiansheng, great venerable of sword god sect from Western Lands. Grandfather is one of the 7 founding elders of the Luo Alliance, Zai Ziofeng." He replied with instant respect, feeling the mysterious air around Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan gave a nod. "So I see, descendant of Sword Marquis abode. Nianyang, missing Yang, tell me, how's your uncle Zai Tianyang doing? Does he have any kids?" "Senior, father told me that uncle chose isolation in the mountains 100 years ago. We have heard nothing about him ever since. Grandfather is missing him greatly, which is why he gave me this name. The guy hasn't gone home in a century. He must be quite at ease then, ha ha ha." Zhuo Fan shook his head, a smile of sadness and admiration playing on his lips. It felt so ironic how others managed to retire with their beloved, while fate played cruel jokes on him, robbing him of such peace. The trio were confused, looking lost and probing. "Senior, do you know our elders?" "Yeah, we have some history." "Why else do you think I allowed brats like you to see me?" Zhuo Fan nodded. "Now, what do you want from me?" Blind uncle." "Well, blind uncle, I don't know how to call you, and with the villagers saying you're a blind swordsmith while close to our fathers, I took the liberty of calling you uncle." "Please don't mind it." Luo Siffin looked around, playing the family card. "If you do not like it, how may I call you?" Kaior giggled. "Dad, she's quite friendly except for the botched addressing." Taking it by rank, with Luo Yunhai seeing Zhuo Fan as a big brother, his daughter calling him uncle was right, though not entirely. It should be great uncle or some such title instead. Zhuo Fan didn't mind the details, waving her off. "Girl, I saw you as someone from a noble family, but with you trying to cling so hard to me, it's like seeing the old me in you, ha ha ha. You sure take after your father. It's not from dad, but mother. Luo Sifin blushed. Mom said I have to be so blunt and shameless to get in someone's good graces. It's how our clan rose. Ha ha ha, right you are. Your clan rose on the shoulders of others, and that rotten and shameless. Ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan laughed, thinking of the good old days, feeling so carefree after all these years. Miss, just say what you want. I'll help how I can. Senior perked up and bowed. Thank you, uncle. To be honest, blind uncle, my dad's grand birthday is coming up in 2 months. I hope to offer a gift to him, but I came to see he has everything in the world. When I had been passing by this area, I came to know of Senior's extraordinary skills in refining spiritual swords. I have thus come to see uncle with this purpose in mind. My, you're quite a devoted daughter, going to such lengths for a mere gift. Zhuo Fan admired her. But then Zhuo Fan whined, that brat is already enjoying old age. What about mine? Dong, the trio's jaws hit the floor. What the hell, brat? You're calling the Luo Alliance leader a brat. Who is he to be so rude to the strongest power in Western lands? Not even exalted double dragons dare slight him. Of everyone in the world, the one and only to call Luo Yunhai like that was Zhuo Fan. He'd call him like that even in his old age, and the brat would have no objection. Luo Alliance's elders knew that when it came to right and pulling rank, Zhuo Fan had tons to spare. As for the trio here, they were oblivious to the true history of their Luo Alliance. They looked up to the Alliance leader and never saw anyone talk about him like that. Kaior chuckled at their dumb look. Dad, jealous much. Want me and brother to hold your grand birthday party? Whatever, I'm not old just yet. Stop joking about it. Zhuo Fan rolled his eyes and shook his head, but to think that Yunhai brat is getting his grand birthday party. Thinking back to the first time we met, he was still in diapers, ha ha ha. The trio's faces twitched. Since he saw Alliance leader in his childhood, does this make him some core elder? No way, all big shots in the Alliance had status and power in the Western lands. As for this coot, he's but a 5th layer profound heaven hermit with a daughter and a son. He's nothing like an Alliance elder should be. Back up. In the profound heaven stage and still in his 20s after a century, the only testament they had to his seniority was the villagers' word that he'd been here for decades. Filled with questions, they just stared at Zhuo Fan with dumb looks. Zhuo Fan smiled, shouting, Miss, you want a sword? Take your pick. Thank you, blind uncle. Luo Sifin started, then nodded in joy, pulling Zai Nianyang. Isn't your clan the best at swordsmanship? Help me look for a great gift for my father. Leave it to me, Sister Sifin. Zai Nianyang perked up and nodded, going with her towards the many swords dangling about. Long Jianshan soured and huffed behind them. Upon a much closer look at the spiritual swords, Zai Nianyang's heart jumped in amazement, his eyes gleaming. Have you had enough gawking? Just pick one and leave, humph. Long Jianshan grumbled, with Luo Sifin staring hopefully. How is it, Zai Nianyang, have you found any good one? Amazing, simply incredible. All without exceptions are exquisite swords. What's really strange is the feeling I get from them. Like this 1st grade spiritual sword looks far more precious than even a 9th grade spiritual sword. I just don't know which to pick, a 1st grade or a 9th grade. The 9th, of course. You can't go gifting a mere 1st grade to clan head. Long Jianshan condescended. What sword clan are you even to not make such basic judgment? If you ask me, just take the highest grade and be done with. That's the 9th grade, right? Pick whatever and let's be off. But I feel the 1st grade is better. Rubbish, what 1st grade out there is better than a 9th grade? Are you touched in the head? Zai Nianyang couldn't make up his mind, while Long Jianshan snapped back in annoyance. Sister Sifin, see that? This guy only knows how to brag about his clan's swordsmanship, but he can't even tell the difference between 1st grade and 9th. Why did you go ask him for help? Ha ha ha, how utterly absurd. Want me to help you instead? No choosing is necessary, not when any one of my swords are perfect. Zai Nianyang is confused precisely because he knows swords very well. Zhuo Fan smiled and walked among the dangling swords, tracing their blades. Swords are like people, unique and having character. Be it 1st or 9th grade, each sword has its own way. Not using the right way or skills with the sword, the wielder and the weapon grow apart, unable to grow or cooperate. The opposite applies just as well. Zai Nianyang is hesitating between 1st and 9th grade spiritual swords, since he is a true descendant of the sword marquis's abode, ha ha ha. I forged that particular spiritual sword 3 years back. This 1st grade spiritual sword took me 3 months to shape it. Whenever I gain newfound understanding into the way of the sword, I forge from the 1st grade to the 12th. I repeat the process with every discovery to understand the sword's essence. This 9th grade only has a high grade, while the sword way within leaves much to be desired. While the 1st grade one is far more suited for cultivation and enlightenment. Please, spiritual swords are nothing but weapons, tools. First time I'm hearing that weapons can help your cultivation. Long Jianshan dismissed the lecture with a snide remark. Zhuo Fan smirked. I was the same once. The ignorant will never get to see the truth. The sword won't ever open up to you, you who isn't going to see it as your friend. The sword is the king of weapons. It has its own pride. By not responding with sincerity, you will never see its heart. For this reason, many swordsmen have a shallow understanding of it. To go further on this path, one needs not just perception and talent, but also sincerity. Humph, you almost sound genuine saying that. In that case, you must be quite along the way of the sword then, being so sincere and all. Long Jianshan's voice dripped with sarcasm. Just a little stronger than average. That's why you're halfway in the profound heaven stage while we sit at the peak of the radiant stage, so that's how. You went and wasted the past century on swordsmanship, crippling your progress in cultivation so much that the juniors overcame you by a mile. Long Jianshan felt so superior right then, brimming with pride. Kyor's eyes were icy, her mind holding nothing but scorn for him. Nitwit, Luo Sifan's glare bore into him. Long Jianshan, have you no respect for your elders? She then gave a deep bow in apology. Blind uncle, forgive him. He's been spoiled rotten. I offer my apologies in his place. No need. I've seen this chubby's belligerent and arrogant type these years, more than I could count. Zhuo Fan waved her off. I admit that most of the time the past century was focused on understanding the sword, and I have stagnated my cultivation. I had no choice but to switch priorities. Having known nothing at all, I had to double my focus to answer that challenge. Ha, a profound heaven cultivator challenged. Tell me of your adversary and I'll handle it, no problem. Long Jianshan enough, Luo Sifan preened, only to have Luo Sifan talk him down. Zai Nianyang was more amazed by the second. Senior, I'm in complete awe by your glorious insights into the sword after deciding to focus on it, and so late too. I've never seen a more perfect spiritual sword refined even by a grandmaster. They look so alive. He, you got good eyes there to feel the life inside the blades. Yes, these years were all focused on understanding the sword by refining them. I would go through all 12 grades each time a new insight came. My stores soon grew to millions, while the spiritual swords themselves became more and more alive. Zhuo Fan took pride in that. I won't be long now. After my next breakthrough, I will be able to answer the century-old challenge. Long Jianshan's contempt couldn't be more obvious, says the profound heaven cultivator, wasting his cultivation on looking sharp. How are you going to fight as a corpse? Spending some little effort on keeping your posture as an elegant and refined man like me is fine. The problem with you is your bland features and being blind. Who are you trying to take in with just a younger face? I've gotten far in my youth and don't need to keep it. I just kept staying like this. That's the same as my mom and dad. Unlike Steward Juge and Uncle Lee, they spent the last century still looking the same. Luo Sifan buted in to break them up. Long Jianshan mocked in complete denial. How is that the same? In this time, Alliance Leader has grown to peak soul harmony stage. This guy used the same time, and still not a day over 30 despite profound heaven cultivation. I bet he used all his efforts in keeping that lame face all along. The other two took careful peeks at Zhuo Fan. The higher the stage, the longer the life, with appearance following this trend over an even longer period. Just like how Luo Yunhai had thousands of years ahead of him as a peak soul harmony cultivator, and a mere century would feel like going through childhood by comparison, thus keeping those crow's feet and wrinkles at bay. While Zhuge Changfeng and the others were old to begin with before they received the chance from the Luo clan to bolster their cultivation with the help of sacred stones. They now had a long lifespan as well, but they started off late. They just kept looking the same since they never tried adjusting their appearances. Most men looked down on using such impractical and useless gimmick only a girl would care about. For women, looks were their life, going to any lengths to keep a pretty face. This was why most people that kept their youth in their later years proved that they had gotten far in their early years in cultivation, needing no touch-up. As for Zhuo Fan, a profound heaven cultivator, he looked nothing like the part of some past great achiever. Appearances could be deceiving, as Zhuo Fan had been using the true self-art that regressed his cultivation, while his true level being at peak soul harmony stage. He only got so far and not peak Genesis stage was due to switching focus on understanding the sword. Blind uncle, Long Jianshan has a foul mouth, but he does make sense. Since you have a challenge, you shouldn't have focused on your appearances and having no substance. Luo Sifan gave him a bright smile. Strength grows with cultivation. Tao is reserved for the peak experts. You should be hurrying. Oh, here are some sacred stones. Please take them. Luo Sifan already took some from her ring and offered. Zhuo Fan cut her off, looking unfazed as ever. Kids, Tao comes from the heart, not from one's cultivation. Regardless of the path you tread, inspiration and insight comes in a flash. Miss that brief and tiny window and it's never coming back. As for cultivating, that's much easier. With enough resources and time, the sky's the limit. I have spent the last century on the way of the sword and not cultivating all because I knew their value. How far the path lead is how much you can walk it, or you'll be left running in place. What right does a profound heaven cultivator have to preach to us? Long Jianshan scorned, with the other two flinching with lost eyes at the platitudes. Ding Zhuo Fan's hand shone and an azure longsword appeared in his hand. The powerful aura it gave left the three ignorant children gasping. This. Everblue 1.88 meters, 4.9 kg, symbolizing the auspicious number 9, the best of its kind. As the head of the alliance, your dad is upright first and foremost. He may have a royal air but is not forceful. Everblue connects one with the world, broadens one's kingly aura, focusing on grace and benevolence. It will be the best fit for your dad's Dao heart. Take it. Tracing the blade, Zhuo Fan offered it to Luo Sifan. After not seeing for so many years, this shall be my gift for his grand birthday. The juniors were blown away by the glorious azure the sword was giving. Their hearts were frantic, with even Long Jianshan's antagonistic nature cut short. It was like the sword enchanted them, unable to look away. Zai Nianyang finally cried out, a 12th grade spiritual weapon, a rarity in all the 5 lands and the most perfect kind. 12th, the other two jumped. Ha ha ha, I told you, I go through the 12 grades when refining after gaining insight. You can just take this one. Zhuo Fan threw it and Luo Sifan clutched it to her chest. A gentle wind blew at the trio, pushing them out of the shack. Don't tell your father about me and don't come over again. We're generations apart. Bam, the door slammed shut with the trio shaking all over. Then they turned to the sword with increasing awe. Since when could a profound heaven cultivator push us 3 radiant stage cultivators? It makes no sense. Their hearts sank and then Luo Sifan bowed. Thank you, senior, for the great gift. I'll never forget it. I shall now take my leave and shall repay you one day for this favor. The trio walked away. She finally succeeded in getting a sword. With such a rare treasure, her dad ought to be ecstatic on his birthday. Kaior, we're leaving, Zhuo Fan sighed. Kaior asked, Father, didn't you say? The last of the 8 world wind tunnels is Sword Star Imperial Capital's Thunder Pavilion. The 5 land-wide recoil array is almost complete, waiting on the last tunnel to return us to sacred domain. Before that, I don't wish to disturb their peace. Zhuo Fan muttered. Kaior nodded in understanding. Savage energies came out of nowhere, sweeping the entire town. Kaior asked, such bloodlust can only come from a killer. What's someone like that doing in these quiet parts? Kaior, those ignorant brats showed off their new gift and invited trouble. Go help them, Zhuo Fan spoke. Kaior nodded and flew after the trio, while the blissfully ignorant trio were acting like they were on a field trip, constantly scrambling over who held the sword. Who do you guys think that senior is? Does he have some connection with the Luo Alliance? Never getting enough of her new toy, Luo Sifan spoke of serious matters. Long Jianshan waved her off, as if he must have stayed a while in Tianyu, and when it got bad he came to this neck of the woods. He just knows some stuff having lived so long. What could possibly be between some profound heaven cultivator and our great Luo Alliance? It's not even funny. It's too soon to tell. Zai Nianyang spoke seriously. I've never seen any profound heaven cultivator able to refine 12th grade spiritual weapons to such perfection. Not even with the most sublime skill or immense heart could one achieve the same at such a low cultivation. Something doesn't smell right. Smells more like a dud. Profound heaven cultivators are a dime a dozen. He must have pushed us since we were out of it and caught us by surprise. It's the only possibility that makes sense. He said it himself, focusing on the sword this century and putting cultivation on hold. The way I see it, insights are for those super strong experts. So what the hell is he fumbling around for? Have you seen anyone besides our alliance's 9 venerables deepening their insights? No, they're all out there getting stronger. That may be so, but I still feel an air of deep mystery around the blind swordsmith. Zai Nianyang's doubts were prevalent, regardless of Long Jianshan's disregard. Long Jianshan rolled his eyes. You call that deep? He was only playing us. I refuse to believe there's anything worth of note about a cultivator stuck in the profound heaven stage after a damn century. As the two were opinionated, Luo Sifan nodded to herself. It's nigh impossible for a profound heaven cultivator to get close to anyone of status. Ha ha ha, a 12th grade spiritual weapon and a perfect one at that. I was out doing a little hunting and here I am with the catch of the century. A cruel and mad laugh jarred their ears. A bald old man landed not 10 meters from them, cackling, Missy, you sure have guts to flaunt a 12th grade spiritual weapon. You're practically begging to be stepped on by flaming others' greed. Hand it over if you know what's good for you. Luo Sifan shivered in fright, tightening her hold on the sword. Who are you? State your name. Yeah, do you have any idea who we are? Are you tired of living to go after our sword? Long Jianshan shook all over from the mighty aura the man had, but did not forget to flaunt his status. The bald elder placed his hands on his hips and snickered, "Brats, better not be shaking in your boots at my glorious name. Listen well, for I am the infamous bald demon of the western lands. You're that degenerate bald demon that's been burning and murdering with no disregard for life." Luo Sifin shuddered. They say his crimes are endless and that the 9 sects couldn't even catch wind of him. Just what is he doing here of all places? Zai Nianyang bobbed his head. If he's the real bald demon, then he's in the 7th layer of Genesis stage. Few in our alliance are his match. This is bad, real bad. Ha ha ha, now you get it, then hand it over, and while you're at it. The bald man's eyes shone with desire upon gracing Luo Sifin with a foul gaze. "Miss, why don't we get to know each other better over a couple of days? I cross my heart not to keep you safe. What are you doing?" Long Jianshan jumped to shield Luo Sifin, putting an obvious tough front with all that sweat pouring out of him. "Do you know who we are? You dare touch us? Do you have a death wish? Oh, I'm gushing to know. Well, what makes you so special? Is it scary? Ha ha ha." The bald man was having a blast toying with them. Long Jianshan's face twitched, shouting, "Listen up and listen well. We are part of the Luo Alliance. You are in the presence of the young miss of the Luo Alliance head. Touch her and the entire alliance will be after your head. Luo Alliance's young miss." The old man eyes Luo Sifin closer. Long Jianshan smirked. "Afraid now? The hell I am." The bald guy cackled louder. "What's the Luo Alliance but some oversized gang in the western lands? Since their turf is out, I'll just go to the other 4 lands. Besides, no matter how tough the Luo Alliance is, they won't match the Devil Palace spanning across the whole lands." Devil Palace? The trio flinched in fright. Luo Sifin was startled. "Oh no, the Devil Palace." "Grandpa Zhuge said Devil Palace, a secret society, has been showing up over the past decades. It's teeming with experts. Luo Alliance can't match it. It's the strongest hidden power in the world. But they're so discreet that they haven't interacted with the powers in the western lands, nor do they want to have anything to do with these devils. But now this vile bald demon is from Devil Palace. We're so dead," the other 2 froze. These Luo Alliance princelings got used to throwing their weight around. Now it seemed they got the short end of the stick because of it. They felt so sorry for themselves. Whoosh, 3 gales blew, rooting the 3 on the spat. The bald old man's lustful eyes drunk on the girl's figure as he walked over. "He, Luo Alliance miss. I've had yet to have the honor to sample such fine goods. Might as well get the girl and the sword. Hi. His black hand reached out for Luo Sifin's delicate face. "Ah, what are you doing?" Luo Sifin shrieked, shedding a tear. The other 2 raged. "Stop right now, dirty old man. What are you doing? He, calling me dirty yet asking me what I'm doing. Just giving her my professional courtesy. Ha ha ha." Bald demon grew more excited at their squirming. Luo Sifin cried out in tears. No, stop, you piece of." Her friends were watching with bloodshot eyes, powerless to help. The 3 radiant stage cultivators were at the whims of a Genesis stage demon, his toys. Pa! A loud sound came out of nowhere, followed by a wail as the old man careened through the air. The trio jerked, finding they could move again. The old man coughed blood, trying to get up on shaky legs and bellowing. "Who did that?" The kids flinched, finally noticing in front a most charming girl with purple hair staring at them with cold indifference. "It's you," the kids cheered. Rescue had arrived. What came as a shock was knowing the girl was the blind swordsmith's daughter, yet had the power to send the Genesis demon flying. "Just who is she?" Kaior ignored their googly eyes and demanded of Bald Demon. "Beat it. Lady, you must not know who I am to butt in. Us." Bald Demon was blustering after being attacked, only to choke on his words as he noticed the purple token. He shivered all over and stammered, "Why, your sparrow. I told you to beat it. Are you deaf, or do you want to die here?" As the shiny bird token glimmered under the sun's glorious light, Kaior's eyes grew icy. Gulping hard, the bald man bowed with haste and took off in terror. The kids could even see his soaked back as he fled. They turned their incredulous eyes on Kaior. She just told off a demon rampaging in the western lands for dozens of years. Who on earth is she? How could a profound heaven swordsmith have such an overpowered daughter? Kaior turned away. Luo Sifin rushed to say, "Wait, what? Thank you, miss, for your help." "I shall never." Yeah, I'm only doing because Dad asked." Kaior had no sympathy. "He told me to give you a warning. There's always someone better than you out there. Keep your belonging hidden and don't flaunt it. For you have no right to." Kaior vanished, leaving the trio gaping. Holy hell, just where did we end up? Why do we keep bumping into worldly experts? And who the hell is that blind swordsmith? With the daughter incredible, the father must be. The trio's faces twitched, their faces burning in shame of how they treated Zhuo Fan. "We acted like clowns, how mortifying." "Dad, I'm back," Kaior knocked before entering with a bright smile. Then she burst out in joy. "Brother, how come you're here?" Zhuo Fan was still in his chair, swaying, with Gu Santong sitting next to him. "Kaior, is it wrong for a son to visit his father? Please, you think I don't know you. You just came to cut work. The only thing that changed about you is your height." Zhuo Fan patted his head as he joked. Gu Santong puffed his cheeks in annoyance, with Kaior giggling at the side. Zhuo Fan turned serious. What happened? Who came? No one special, just one of our own from the western lands called Bald Demon. He saw the brats and greed and lust got the best of him. I already shoot him, don't worry. Bald Demon, Zhuo Fan's brow shook. That geezer has a bad name, doing every vile thing imaginable. Was someone after him that he came here? Kaior shook her head. Can't be. The Western Lands envoy has tight control over them, avoiding conflict with the Western Lands factions. Bald Demon's heinous crimes are his alone. Coupled with his high cultivation, all factions in the Western Lands focus on self-preservation. They wouldn't go after him lest provoked. Or maybe someone's out there doing a world a favor by hunting this evil down. The thing is, there has hardly been any signs in Western Lands to point towards a manhunt. Strange, why else would he be caught dead in this barren place? Since hiding is out, then it can only mean hunting, Zhuo Fan asked Kaior. Did he follow the brats? Shouldn't be, he's too impulsive and lust to hold it in for so long. Is it for me then? Zhuo Fan mulled. Ha ha ha, well, isn't this interesting? My own men tracked their palace lord. Gu Santong widened and shouted, they have the nerve to look for palace lord. Are they ignoring their lives to breach the palace laws? Not by those honest disciples, they'd never try it. There must be someone else behind him. Zhuo Fan smirked. Kaior, young Sanzi, he shouldn't be too far. Let's go for a stroll. I'm curious to know why wants to see me so much. Ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan stood and left the house with his children. Gu Santong exclaimed then, wait, father, Uncle Dong wanted me to ask you when we'll begin the last step of the plan. Very soon. Touching his covered eyes, Zhuo Fan grinned. In the royal family's main hall of the imperial capital, Emperor Bailey Jingxi was at the head of a dozens of meters-wide oval table. On his side was Prime Minister Bailey Jingwei, followed by the 9 sword kings. Only the farthest seat was empty. All eyes were on it, impatient. Shangyun Feiyan was the first to complain. Does he still think of himself as heir? What never? Thump faint footsteps echoed, followed by a familiar figure. Clap lone arm sword king, you finally grace us with your presence. We could never start without you, ha ha ha. Shangyun Feiyan ridiculed. The other sword kings held smiles of disdain. Only Bailey Jingxi sighed. The man sat in the empty spot. Bailey Jingxin had now lost his crown prince title, becoming the 10th sword king. The official title was Sword King Jingxin, while among the other sword kings he got dubbed Lone Arm Sword King, all because he lost the other at Zhuo Fan's fire. Bailey Jingxin looked with sadness at the empty sleeve. The crown prince was meant to inherit the throne, but there was no way a gimp would take that power. With little choice, he was reduced to a prince. Bailey Jingxi was bleeding, while Bailey Jingwei shook his head. What a waste of a good seed. With Sword King Jingxin present, let the 10 Sword King gathering commence. Bailey Yulei cleared his voice and began, holding no ridicule for the late comer, even using his official title. Prime Minister Bailey, what is the purpose of this meeting? Bailey Jingwei looked at them and spoke. Your Majesty, Sword Kings, due to my gross negligence, I have let evil run amok in our nation for 100 years. But in these many years, our nation is once again restored to its glory. The army filled its ranks, the people are wealthy, but the greatest disaster is now upon us. One that may very well be the end of our great nation. The men waited nervously for him to finish. Do you all remember the rise of that one great talent from the World War? He made me taste defeat for the first time and sullying the name of Bailey. Zhuo Fan, Bailey Jingxin spat through gnashed teeth. The rest were looking complicated, unsettled as well at the mere mention of the name. Bailey Jingwei nodded. It's this genius versed in politics and war that sent our magnificent nation on the brink of collapse 100 years ago, foiling the land unification plan. He has my complete respect, to be honest, as the only man I could never read. Fortune was with us that day, swallowed whole by the sea demon. I may regret losing such a rival, but I rejoice at world free of such a dreadful man. He got nods from everyone. However, while the devil has been purged, his poison remained, spreading into our nation. Bailey Jingwei's eyes shone, shouting, do you all remember where he came from? Devil Mountain, Bailey Yuyan spoke up. Bailey Jingwei nodded. We heard of this mystery sect from his own mouth, unable still to confirm or deny it. Its influence, however, is unquestionable. In the past century, there has been many forces using similar names, Devil Sect, Devil Island, Devil Group, Devil City, and so on. They all wanted to use a dead man's name to garner power. We have crushed every last one of them, proving that those carrying the devil's name are nothing but liars. Unacceptable. What's more concerning is the small faction, under 100 member, having begun using this name, Devil Gang, Devil Stronghold, and even Devil Village. This poor imitations are preposterous. Of course, we cull them swiftly, but the momentum is to be feared. All want to make use of this terrifying legend and gather power to restore it. This affected our nation, worsening the century-long unrest far greater than I anticipated. There's no shortage of people believing we lost to Devil Mountain's disciple and thus took its name. It has stained the illustrious reputation of our empire. So, how much noise can a bunch of weaklings make? They'll get wiped out with a snap of our fingers. Shang Yunfeiyan disdained. At worst, they'll only make us work harder. No bug could change the way the world works. The other sword kings agreed. They're not genuine, only using the name. What's there to be scared of when the real Devil Mountain is not involved? Bailey Jingwei was, however, very serious when it came to these pests. I wouldn't have called all sword kings here if it were about some rabble. The crucial fact is that one of them gained incredible power. It has tight ranks and spread out, a force that the Five Lands have never seen. People, have any of you heard of Devil Palace? All froze, turning grave. Shang Yunfeiyan even frowned. Devil Palace, a secret force growing since 100 years ago that has only just began to be noticed by the main factions of the lands. It's terrifying how secretive it is. Bailey Jingwei had never been more serious in his life. Some were doubtful, others looked grave or hesitant, but they all were thoughtful. Bailey Jingwei could easily guess their surface thoughts. Sword Kings, it would seem that you all have fought this mystery power inside your area but are unclear what it is. Allow me to explain to you all. Devil Palace first appeared in the lands at the beginning of the war 5 years ago in a most befuddling fashion. Bailey Jingwei continued, do you recall the uprising in our nation? I've conducted investigations, sent spies, and finally confirmed that the very first to rise against us was the Devil Palace. Following it, fires broke out everywhere as other minor groups rose up as well, leading to a century of turmoil. Just as we began culling these dangerous elements, Devil Palace vanished into thin air before we could understand them or cause any real damage to them. However, they did not stop. While we were busy with other minorities going against us, they went after the rabbles to recruit them and gain power. So while the Sword Kings have been hard at work destroying these traitors, they were far from removed, turning into morsels for this one large faction, growing so much it can threaten our very nation. Bam! Shang Yunfeiyan slammed the table. Curses, have we done nothing but do the work for them this past century? Just when we thought we removed the pockets of resistance, they just went over to the enemy's side. Yes, by using our unrest, they only have to gain from it. Devil Palace is in a whole other league than those erratic rabbles. Zither's Sword King squinted and rapped the table. He had one peculiar smile though, the others nodded, wary. Bailey Jingwei sighed. Devil Palace is exercising extreme caution, yet it used the Five Lands War in its favor as well. It then chose to bide its time over the coming century as it grew and grew. A radical idea came to me while thinking of it. The Devil Palace might be a real branch of Devil Mountain, having the same twisted mind as the dead Zhuo Fan. Everyone flinched, looking shocked to the core. You're saying Devil Palace is something he built, that he's still alive? No, he should be dead, ending up swallowed by the sea demon, but the beginning of these factions bears his signature. Bailey Yuyun cried in disbelief, with Bailey Yuyun shooting her down. This isn't happening only in the central area, but in every other land as well. All know perfectly well who directed the Five Lands War. Having lost this mastermind, how could the Devil Palace infiltrate the lands so quickly amidst the war? Now it grew into the largest dark faction throughout the lands, hiding in shadows. I refuse to believe anyone that claims he didn't have a hand in this. The others felt their hearts sink. Shang Yunfeiyan clenched his fists. The devil spread his poison, giving us such grief even from beyond the grave. God damn him, not damn him, but fear him. At least with him dead, there won't be some ingenious master plan with so many pawns at his disposal. It would have been disastrous. Bailey Jingwei felt a shiver down his spine and sighed. The defeat was a century ago, yet time did not help in easing the dread he felt at the mere mention of Zhuo Fan's name. Regardless, the mastermind may be gone, but Devil Palace is becoming a serious thorn in our side. I believe this goes the same for the other 4 lands. No one would ever tolerate anyone encroaching into their domain, especially one so dangerous. Bailey Jingwei's hand held a map, revealing it to everyone with all kinds of lines. This is the map of the 5 lands. And these lines represent the paths Devil Palace's people had taken over the last years. I just can't get a grasp of their intentions. They may be seen in one spot for a while, only to never come there again. Maybe they finished their job? Shang Yunfeiyan asked. Bailey Jingwei nodded, turning dead serious. Yes, I thought so as well, but this only makes it worse. The typical dark faction would spread its influence while hiding its base. They're doing so, but to what end? Being in the dark about the other is the most terrible thing. The others were in full agreement. Also, Bailey Jingwei took another paper with an image that showed clear connections. This is something I deduced from a few confessions from the Devil Palace disciples we captured. According to them, Devil Palace has clear ranks, with the superiors and lower ranks in direct contact. The only unknown in this is the head, with none ever seeing him, only hearing of his title. Devil Palace Lord is a mystery person known only as the Dark Demon Lord. There's no witnesses, only rumors about his strength being beyond anything. He is beast, sparrow, power, fire, and ice as his Dharma kings, and they are at the level of our 9 sword kings, if not stronger. Under them are the sun, moon, and star devil emissaries, in control of the scattered disciples' tasks. Next are the small leaders, vile and vicious men with some repute in every land. They may be trouble for others, but not for sword kings, mere fodder. They all looked on with worry and shock. Devil Palace has grown so big, that means no land can stand up to them but us. Bailey Yule slapped the table. Prime Minister, is that map reliable? We all know those lands' leaders. How could they let so many savages run amok? It has to be an overblown rumor to drive fear into those idiots and attract more people. With the 5 Dharma kings as strong as us, what will that make of the palace lord on equal ground with Patriarch? There's no way. There might be, though. Shangyun Feiyan looked on with a piercing gaze. A month ago, I found a sneaky bunch in my area. I was about to get rid of them when this young man met me blow for 300 rounds. I overheard the others calling him Beast King. SSS, everyone gasped and stared at him in disbelief, hoping to be some poor joke. Anything was better than the truth. A pity there was not a sign of humor on his feature. Those Dharma kings are as strong as us. Shangyun Feiyan shook his head. I didn't know then where he came from, but now I am certain he's from Devil Palace. Moreover, Bailey Jingwei continued, there's a rhyme going around the lands. In radiant splendor, stars do gleam, slash their light bathes all in a cosmic beam. Slash but as darkness descends, consuming all sight, slash the stars' brilliance wanes, fading from height, slash yet fear not, for the dawn draws near, slash a quiet arrival, bringing hope clear. The men's faces twitched, the implication obvious. You're saying the Dark Demon Lord will crush the Empire's unification plan. The dark consumes the plight, bringing great change to the lands. Bailey Jingwei was a mask of rage. The rhyme is most definitely fake, coming from Devil Palace to worm into the populace's hearts. Sword Star Empire is not about to fall so easily. But rumors are scary and people hear what they wish. We need to squash Devil Palace before the rhyme spreads further and becomes reality. The situation is dire, everyone. Bailey Jingwei was dead serious as he finished. The others nodded, aware now of the crisis. The might of their nation was unquestioned, all due to the 9 sword kings. But with the rise of the Dark Demon Lord, they felt the threat. Shangyun Feiyan said, Prime Minister, there's been something that's been bothering me for many years that I would like your input on. The invincible sword hasn't been seen for 100 years. What happened? The matter with Devil Palace is grave, yes, but once the invincible sword shows himself, none can stop him, right? The other 9 turned to him, curious. Bailey Jingwei shook and winced. Patriarch has been in seclusion for the past century to break through to a new stage that no human has achieved before. When Patriarch comes out, I believe you will see the birth of true unstoppable might. Then we'll be waiting for the good news. Bailey Jingwei was tight-lipped about it, and the kings didn't ask either, left with their own suspicions. Bailey Jingwei looked drained, forcing a smile as he put away the paper. Everyone, that's the situation. I hope Sword Kings shall return to your designated area and fight back Devil Palace before they grow any stronger. I shall be drafting a plan in the meantime to remove this danger for good. I will notify you in time. Farewell, Prime Minister, Your Majesty. Shangyun Feiyan stood and cupped his head before leaving. The others did the same. The emperor couldn't help it and said, Jingwei, it's been 100 years already. We can't hide it anymore. They're suspicious and the cat'll be out of the bag. The bag must stay shut. Bailey Jingwei's brow shook, his eyes shining. Your Majesty, it'll be fine. I vow to have the empire to enjoy peace and stability for ages. The 10 sword kings left in groups, with Bailey Jingshan being the only one alone. Shangyun Feiyan took joy in scorning him for his lost arm. The one who used to be the heir, incredible talent, and a second invincible sword, turned out a mere prince. He sure has taken a huge fall this century, hee. Fate reaped the souls of 9 princes and left one with a handicap. They shouldn't have gone to the northern lands. Danking Shen sighed. They were all amazingly talented and would have grown into an emperor and many sword kings to help us in these trying times. Brother Dan, are you a fool? The more sword kings the Bailey have, the greater the danger we'll be in. We are now 4 and 6 and still hold some sway, thankfully. Hee. I'd wish to see them grow to their full potential. They couldn't stop me from going home anyway. Shangyun Feiyan snickered at the huge loss while Danking Shen just shook his head. Zither Sword King came over, smiling. Brother Dan, while I don't like Brother Feiyan's character, I still stand by him on this. Do you honestly believe with the rise of Bailey's younger generation that they'd let you go home? When we become obsolete, there'll be no stopping our execution. This is much better. The great clan now finds itself without posterity, all due to that war. The dead Zhuo Fan had to be Bailey's bane. We should thank him for that. The other two smiled. Brothers, we were right all along. The invincible sword is dying. A man rushed to their side, his voice low and hoarse. Did you see Bailey Jingwei's face? He lost his backing and confidence. Zither Sword King gestured to him for silence immediately, his eyes darting around. Wine Sword Immortal, don't just say what's on your mind. Before we ascertain the invincible sword's status, you should keep it down lest you want to lose your head. What's the point of confirming it? The old coot's been gone for a century. Isn't that the biggest proof? The Wine Sword Immortal was utterly confident. You know fully well the old guy is grooming the juniors, always looking the best to train himself or let them understand the sundering sword. Have you seen any of that happen the last century, especially with the clan's future wrecked? It's obvious he dropped dead. Bailey Jingwei is just too cunning and kept it hidden to lord over us. Since he's dead, what are you guys planning? Will you keep staying around this dull place? The Zither Sword King and Danking Shen smiled. Stop with the nonsense. What if he's alive, though he grinned widely still? Shangyun Feiyan was the only one unfazed, his eyes firm. Regardless of the invincible sword's fate or your choice, I will stay in the Sword Star Empire. It's the only one that can help me attack eastern lands and take everything. You're so obstinate, the three sighed. He just didn't understand what being a cultivator meant. It was all about understanding the world's nature, its Tao. Was it worth throwing it all away just so you become a tool? An official in a crimson robe approached them and bowed. Greetings, Sword Kings. Deputy Minister of War, Shangyun Feiyan gave the middle-aged man with grizzled sideburns a look, noticing him in the fifth layer of ethereal stage. Isn't the Ministry of War under Prime Minister? Why come to us? Yuan Yang bowed again. Sword King Feiyan, I have a matter that I wish Dragon-Cleaving Sword King would help in. With me? Danking Shen shook his head. Ha ha ha, do I know you? Sorry, but you don't look familiar. I'm not inclined to help random strangers either. Danking Shen turned away. The man rushed to stop him and revealed a scroll from his ring as he offered it. Sword King, please, do you still recognize this painting? This. Danking Shen's brow shook at the familiar paper, taking it and letting a long breath as he unfolded it. The man still bowed. Dragon-Cleaving Sword King, do you remember the promise you made in Western lands, that you will help the bearer of this painting in one matter? I know Sir's word is his bond, and I have traveled far and wide through countless hardships to return this painting. I only ask whether the promise still stands after all these years. Lads of our nation, I made it in the name of love, and in love I vowed. How could I just break it? Danking Shen's eyes stirred, recalling a past long forgotten. He then folded it back and spoke. Talk, what is it you want? The man bowed once more. Sword King, I have nothing but respect to your dedication. I shall be honest, I am Yuan Yang from Western lands. I was a Tianyu Empire prince once, before a vile bastard took my power and hounded me too. Fine, I don't want to know about your past, just tell me what you want. Sword King, I wish that Sir would give me justice. Wipe out Tianyu and the Luo alliance with it. Yuan Yang spoke with bloodlust and malice. What? Danking Shen widened. Eliminate Luo alliance. How did you become the Deputy Minister of War? How could you ask such a thing? Shangyun Feiyan sneered. I don't know anything about the Tianyu Empire, but I know of the Luo alliance's position in Western lands. It holds no less than half of Western lands' might. Asking Brother Dan to destroy it is like telling him to go against Western lands. Can Brother Dan agree? Danking Shen nodded. Yes, Sword King Feiyan is right. My words are limited by my capability. I am not strong enough to fight a land by myself. Sorry, but choose another. Dragon-Cleaving Sword King, all I ever wanted in life is revenge. The Luo clan stole my country, putting a puppet on the throne while hunting me down every step of the way. I can never let go of such hatred. For this reason, I have come to Sword King for help. Originally, a lofty man like a Sword King was beyond the reach of a nobody like me. I was fortunate enough that when the Five Lands War broke out, I joined the Central Area Army and rose through the ranks thanks to my service. It took me 100 years to walk into this palace and be fortunate enough to meet a Sword King today. Damn, such dedication, persevering for 100 years just to reach the status to see you. It's true what they say, the obsession for revenge can take you anywhere. Shangyun Feiyan chuckled. Times change, however. The Luo alliance was nothing a century ago. Brother Dan could have snuffed them out with a snap of his fingers. Now it's grown too large in the Western lands. You're asking Brother Dan to go on a suicide mission. Better wait for another war, then you could make use of your position to settle the score and get your revenge. Sword King Feiyan is right, but we all know the state of the empire. It's still restless and far from battle-ready. It may take another century, if not more, before it can wage war. I can't wait that long. Yuan Yang was impatient. Sword King, then the next best thing would be to take the head of the Luo alliance, Luo Yunhai. Without a leader, they're sure to crumble. At least this will give me some peace. What do you say? Well, it is doable. Danking Shen mulled it over. Killing one man then coming right back isn't an issue. Sure, I agree. Yuan Yang bowed once more, filled with joy, his eyes showing obvious scorn. An hour later, Bailey Jingwei stood in a dark room. Yuan Yang bowed next to him. Prime Minister, everything's set. Danking Shen is going? Good, I didn't hide your matter for a century for nothing. Don't worry, I'll let you take revenge yourself. Also, make sure to notify all the lands about Danking Shen's actions. Yes, and thank you, Prime Minister. Bailey Jingwei nodded, a grin forming on his face. Rest assured, Patriarch, I'll make sure to remove every danger to the Empire's safety. Soon, the Sword Star Empire will shine like the sun, ha ha ha. The mad laughter bounced off the dark wall of the hall.